Chapter 1834. 1834. In 1834, the Dragon King's father-in-law was in the city. Jin Yue, a very common name, the eldest son of the Spirit Vein Group. The Spirit Vein Group was quite lucky. They found a Spirit Vein and used 5 years to rise up and establish the now famous Spirit Vein Group. The Spirit Vein Group is famous for being rich and recruiting many experts. They have a good relationship with a divine son of the Lingxiao treasured palace. Jin Yue has the strength of a 5th-level void interpretation. He is highly regarded by outsiders and has the chance to become a heaven's favorite. When the Yao girl saw the arrival of the young man, she revealed a slightly solemn expression. Although this fellow's strength was not as good as hers, he had a strong background. Sir, the Spirit Vein Group is famous for being rich. If you want to buy that pet egg, he is a strong and powerful opponent. Yao Nu continued to remind Wang Xian while trying to please him. A strong and powerful opponent. Wang Xian smiled when he heard her words. If it weren't for Hua who wanted this pet egg, he wouldn't even take a second look at her. I didn't expect young Master Jin to be here as well. Young Master Jin is really lucky. It wasn't easy for us to get our hands on this demigod level would attribute demonic beast pet egg. Above them, the higher-ups of the God Pet Group were delighted when they saw the young master of the Spirit Vein Group arrive. They had wanted to incubate the demigod-level pet egg secretly, but they didn't expect the news to leak out. With the strength of their God Pet Group, they didn't have the strength to keep the pet. After the news leaked out, they were very scared. If an expert came to snatch it, they couldn't do anything about it. They had no choice but to sell it quickly. Now they only hoped to sell it at a good price. Seeing the Spirit Vein Group's eldest young master arrive, a trace of joy appeared on his face. At least the price of this pet wouldn't be too low. Ha, since I'm here, then tell me a price. I'll take it. Jin Yue laughed arrogantly and shouted at them. Young Master Jin, you might not be able to take this pet egg with you. As soon as Jin Yue finished his words, an old man's voice came from the side. The old man held the dragon-headed walking stick and said expressionlessly. Old man Tian is right. Since it's being auctioned, the one with the highest price will get it. A middle-aged man beside him said faintly. Haha, let's start the bidding. Everyone from the Pet God Corporation, let's begin. Some things are hard to come by in the future if you don't have them in the beginning. Our Spirit Vein Corporation will definitely take this pet egg. Jin Yue laughed loudly and shouted with confidence. He leaned on the sports car, held the beauty beside him and lit a cigarette. He looked extremely handsome. Hee all right. Since young Master Jin has said that it's time to start, then we won't wait any longer. I'm sure everyone knows the value of a demigod rank 1 divine pet. It's completely priceless. Now the auction price of 100 million high-grade spirit stones will begin. The price cannot be lower than 1 million high-grade spirit stones each time. An old man from the Divine Pet Group shouted with a smile on his face. Hiss, 100 million upper-grade spirit stones. Oh my god, that's 100 million upper-grade spirit stones. It's really expensive. However, 100 million upper-grade spirit stones is about the same. After all, if we nurture him, he will be a demigod-level powerhouse. Nurturing him will also cost a lot of resources. It seems that we can only watch those few groups fight for it. Tens of thousands of people gathered in the surrounding area. When they heard the auction price, their faces were filled with shock. Haha, 100 million. Everyone please consider it carefully. Raising a Tier 1 demigod pet will require more than 100 million high-grade spirit stones. Jin Yue immediately raised his hand and shouted. Young Master Jin, you don't have to worry about that. Our Tianling group still has the ability. 101 million. The chairman of the Tianling group who spoke just now shouted. 102 million. Fengqi group, 102 million. Do you have any more? 103 million. 104 million. Ha, too slow. 110 million. This divine pet, our Spirit Vein Group will definitely take it. Young Master Jin bids 110 million, 110 million, do you have any more? The auction began. 4 or 5 groups competed with Jin Yue one by one, and the prices rapidly increased. Everyone's breathing quickened as they watched the auction. With an increase of 1,000,000,000 high-grade spirit stones, the current 1 million high-grade spirit stones could not be compared to 1 million renminbi. If measured in terms of money, The value of 1 million high-grade spirit stones was equivalent to 100 million renminbi in the past. The starting price of a demigod first-grade pet egg was equivalent to 10 million RMB in the past. Hiss, this is crazy. These big corporations are really willing to risk their lives for this pet egg. Young Master Jean is obviously more confident now. Spirit Vein Corporation is too rich. I guess this pet egg will be obtained by Spirit Vein Corporation. Young Master Jean is too confident. The surrounding voices of discussion could be heard. The auction continued and no one dared to speak loudly. The entire surroundings seemed to be quiet. Daddy, Daddy, I want it, I want it. At this moment, a clear and melodious voice sounded. In the midst of the intense auction, it seemed to be somewhat clear. Some people looked over and saw a young girl riding on top of a young man. They smiled. Little cutie, did you hear what young Master Jean said just now? Some things aren't there when they were born. It will be very difficult to obtain them in the future. A girl turned around and said with a smile when she saw the cute flower. 200 million upper-grade spirit stones. Who else dares to fight with my Spirit Vein group? Haha, this pet will definitely belong to me, Jin Yue. In the future, it will follow me to conquer the world and become a heaven's favorite. At this moment, Jin Yue's proud voice came from the front. He held a cigarette in his mouth and glanced at a few company chairmen and executives who looked embarrassed. Then he said with a loud laugh. A few of the company's upper echelons shook their heads helplessly. 200 million high-grade spirit stones. The Spirit Vein group was too rich. When the few upper echelons of the pet god group saw this scene, they were certain that this demigod pet was going to fall into the hands of the Spirit Vein group. Everyone around looked at Jin Yue with envy. Dad, I want it, I want it, I want that. Huar heard the girl's words and saw that the pet egg was about to be bought. She blinked her eyes and grabbed Wang Xian's hair with all her might as she shouted. It must be said that this little fellow's voice was very loud. Okay, Daddy will buy it for you now. Wang Xian said immediately and grabbed her little feet helplessly. Haha, interesting. I don't have time to coax you guys here. Give me the pet egg. Jin Yue heard their words and looked towards Wang Xian. Looking at the little girl who was riding on the neck of a young man, he laughed out loud. He stood up and announced with a loud laugh. His arrogant tone made the upper echelons of the companies look a little embarrassed. Was he comparing the auction earlier to coaxing them? Coaxing a child? Chapter 1835. 1835 Was the 1835 pet egg delicious? Let's go. This young Master Jean is so confident. Just now he was competing with the higher-ups of several large corporations. He actually said that he was coaxing a child. Now, I just want to know how much money the Spirit Vein Corporation has. With such confidence, even if a divine son came, he wouldn't be able to compete with them. Divine son? The divine son is just very talented and powerful. In terms of wealth, he's far inferior to the Spirit Vein Corporation. Perhaps only those powerful demigods in the Lingxiao Treasured Palace can compete with the Spirit Vein Corporation. Hearing young Master Jin's arrogant words, everyone around was shocked. 200 million upper-grade spirit stones. If no one raises the price, then this pet egg will belong to young Master Jean. The senior executives of the God Pet Corporation were also very happy with the sale of 200 million upper-grade spirit stones. They shouted at him with smiles on their faces. Haha, although it doesn't match my attributes very well, the supporting functions of wood-type demonic beasts are very powerful. Young Master Jean stared at the pet egg with burning eyes as he said with a loud laugh. To be able to obtain a demigod rank 1 pet egg today was a great opportunity for him. 250 million. However, at this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from behind. 250 million. When these 5 words entered everyone's ears, young Master Jin's excited expression instantly froze. He suddenly turned his head. Everyone around also turned their heads in shock. When they saw the young man with a girl in his arms and a girl riding on his neck, everyone was slightly stunned again. Just now, the girl riding on the young man's neck said that she wanted a pet egg, but young Master Jean took over and said that he would coax the child to ridicule the big corporations. Now, the father of the child actually offered 250 million. This kid, are you coaxing the child? You have to take responsibility for what you said. Jin Yue's expression changed slightly. He stared coldly at Wang Xian and growled in an embarrassed manner. It's not like you coax a child like this. Wang Xian glanced at Jin Yue indifferently and said, "What? He really wants to buy it? Who is this person? 250 million. Only a handful of people can afford so many spirit stones. You must be joking. Who is he? Haven't you seen him before?" Everyone around was slightly stunned. They looked at Wang Xian with astonishment. This young man, you are not joking, right? A few higher-ups of the pet group looked at Wang Xian in astonishment. They pursed their lips and asked, "Wow." Wang Xian took out an interspatial ring. He waved it gently and threw it directly to the higher-ups of the pet group. Pa! An old man stretched out his hand in astonishment and took it. When he saw the spirit stones inside, his eyes widened in shock. The entire interspatial ring had an area of more than 10,000 cubic meters. This was the first time he had seen such a huge interspatial ring. And inside the interspatial ring were countless spirit stones. There were at least 200 million spirit stones inside. It was estimated that there were 2 billion spirit stones inside. Gulp. The old man swallowed a mouthful of saliva as his fingers trembled. "Young master, are you sure you want to buy it for 250 million spirit stones?" The old man's expression changed drastically. If they could get their hands on the spirit stones inside, they would definitely be able to become one of the top powers on Earth. Who was this young man? What was his identity? How could he possibly take out so many spirit stones? Heavens, and he actually dared to show his interspatial ring to him. Was it because he was confident? He couldn't afford to offend him. He immediately dispelled the greed in his heart and straightened his expression. "Of course. Do you have the qualifications?" Wang Xian nodded his head faintly. "Yes, of course, young master has the qualifications. Your interspatial ring." The elder from the God Pet group nodded his head hurriedly and replied. His arm trembled slightly as he returned the interspatial ring to Wang Xian. 250 million. Young Master Jin, do you want to continue the bidding? The old man looked at Jin Yue and asked. What? Jin Yue's expression changed drastically. His expression turned gloomy as he asked, "Does he have the ability?" "Young Master Jin, I have already verified that this young master has the ability." The old man nodded his head heavily. His eyes sparkled as he looked at Wang Xian with some respect. If this pet and that young man wanted it, there was nothing that young Master Jin could do about it. When the senior executives of the God Pet group saw the old man's expression, their faces were filled with astonishment. My God, does this young man really have the qualifications? What is his identity? Good heavens, 250 million. Is he buying it for his daughter? This is too extravagant. If his daughter wants a pet, he will buy it for her. This is the pinnacle of his life. What is the identity of this young man? Everyone was shocked. They thought that this young man was trying to coax a child. They didn't expect that he would actually buy it. This had completely overturned their understanding. Everyone swallowed a mouthful of saliva in unison. 260 million. Jin Yue's expression changed drastically. He gritted his teeth and shouted loudly. 300 million. As soon as he finished his sentence, Wang Xian's soft voice sounded as though 300 million was nothing in front of him. Indeed, it was nothing. Even though the Transcendence continent was dominated by middle-grade spirit stones, there were still quite a number of upper-grade spirit stones. Currently, the number of upper-grade spirit stones in the entire Transcendence continent was more than 10 billion or 100 billion. Wang Xian had brought along at most 1% of them, which was equivalent to a few billion upper-grade spirit stones. 300 million, and he directly increased it by 40 million. Who is he? Is he the higher-ups of the Lingxiao Treasured Palace? Oh my God, this pet egg of the first-level demigod is not worth 300 million at all. When everyone heard Wang Xian's voice again, they opened their mouths slightly. Is he fucking a tycoon? When Jin Yue heard the number of 300 million, his expression changed drastically. He never expected such a person to appear out of nowhere. 300 million to buy a pet egg for his daughter. There are indeed some things that are hard to come by in the future. This little doll is so blessed. The lady who spoke to Wang Xian and the rest just now looked at him in a daze. What a hidden card. Excuse me, young Master Jin, would you like to raise the price? At this moment, the most excited people were the upper echelons of the God Pet group. This auction was a huge profit. Jin Yue's expression changed when he heard the God Pet group's words. 300 million, a total of 300 million. Even if their group wanted to take out 300 million in one go, they would still have to consider it. Congratulations, young master. The first level demigod wood-type demon beast pet egg belongs to you now. Hehe, your daughter seems to be wood-type as well. It's a good opportunity for her to grow up together with your beloved daughter. When the higher-ups of the pet group saw that Jin Yue remained silent with a gloomy face, they knew that he would not raise the price anymore. With such a price, no one would raise the price anymore. The elder from the pet group held the pet egg respectfully and walked towards Wang Xian. Chapter 1836. 1836. How was the 1836 pet egg? Next. It's a demigod tier 1 pet. To have a demigod tier 1 pet at birth is really enviable. When that girl grows up, her pet will also reach the peak. This is equivalent to the treatment of a divine son. God-level tycoon, really God-level tycoon. I wonder what identity this God-level tycoon has? In front of the Jade Lake ancient land, everyone's faces were filled with shock and envy as they looked at the higher-ups of the God Pet group respectfully sending the pet egg over. The little girl asked for the pet egg and her father immediately bought it. How could such a powerful father not be envied? Young master, here you are. A wood elemental pet will definitely be able to accompany your daughter to grow up quickly. The elder of the pet group handed it over respectfully and said with a smile. Okay. Wang Xian nodded and took the pet egg under everyone's envious gaze. The pet egg wasn't very big. It was about the size of an adult's palm, and it wasn't very heavy either. It was emitting a green glow just like an emerald. Here, flower. Wang Xian handed the pet egg to the little guy on top of his head. Giggle, giggle, giggle. The little guy was ecstatic when he saw the pet egg that was emitting a bright glow. She took the pet egg with both of her hands. Following that, she did something that shocked everyone. Crack, crack. She held the pet egg and opened her mouth to bite it. However, she couldn't break the hard pet egg at all. Yeah, I can't bite it. I want to eat it. Seeing that she couldn't bite it, the little guy angrily bit it again with his mouth. Hee, young master, your daughter is so cute. The old man from the God Pet group said with a smile when he saw the flower. The porcelain doll-like girl was holding a demigod-level pet and saying that she was going to bite it and eat it. Her appearance was indeed quite cute. This little doll is so cute, it's simply too cute. Haha, how interesting, she actually wants to bite and eat it. She's really a little foodie. This is a pet egg worth 300 million high-grade spirit stones, and she actually wants to eat it. This little girl is just like a porcelain doll. She puts everything into her mouth. Everyone around had a kind smile on their faces. They felt that she was exceptionally cute. If you can't bite it, don't bite it anymore. In the future, I will nurture a pet to play with you. Wang Xian pinched her little feet and said, I want to eat, I want to eat. Wah wah wah, I want to eat. However, upon hearing Wang Xian's words, Hua glared at her feet and shouted loudly. As she shouted, she gritted her teeth. Seeing that she couldn't move her teeth, tears flowed out of her eyes. Little beauty, don't be so naughty. This is a pet egg of a demigod. You can't eat it. The girl who spoke at the beginning said to Hua with a smile on her face. However, her expression soon turned stiff. Everyone around her widened their eyes and looked at her in disbelief. Okay, if you want to eat, I'll give it to you. The young man below the girl said helplessly. He reached out his hand to take the pet egg and directly cut a hole in it. Instantly, the liquid similar to an egg was revealed, but the liquid was bright green. A strong life force spread out in the surroundings. Take it and drink. The young man handed the pet egg to the girl again. I don't want to drink, I want to eat. The little girl said as she took the pet egg and poured it into her little mouth. Some liquid flowed onto her little face. It's not good, it's not good. After taking a sip, the little girl shouted with a bitter face and kept kicking her legs. Little Grandaunt, you're really hard to please. Let me roast you and give you a taste. Under everyone's gaze, the young man moved his palm and a wisp of flame wrapped around the pet egg. Soon, a tempting fragrance came from the pet egg. At this moment, everyone was stunned. A demigod tier 1 pet egg, a demigod tier 1 pet egg that made people crazy, was roasted just like that. And it was roasted. Just because his daughter said that she wanted the pet egg, the mysterious rich young man directly bought it. When everyone thought that the rich god wanted to bring this demigod level 1 pet to accompany his daughter to grow up together. In the end, the little girl wanted to eat the pet egg. Then, to everyone's surprise, the rich god directly broke the pet egg. The little girl picked it up and drank it. After it didn't taste good, she now roasted it. This. A fragrance came over and everyone stared blankly. It smells so good. You and elder sister can split it in half. Alright, let's go. The father and daughter's conversation rang out once more, and soon after, they saw the young man hand over an interspatial ring to the old man from the God Pet group before turning around and leaving. He. The girl's cheerful voice rang out, and she hugged the boiled pet egg with both hands, happily eating it. The group's departure left everyone with an indifferent back view. Gulp. This. Oh my god, I ate it. The demigod-level pet egg was eaten directly. Am I hallucinating? The demigod-level pet egg, the pet egg that caused everyone to go crazy, was actually eaten by someone. Oh my god. Is this a motherfucker who dotes on his daughter? To buy a demigod-level pet egg and eat it, 300 million high-grade spirit stones? Even the powerhouses of the Lingxiao treasured palace can't do that. When everyone saw them leave, the surroundings instantly erupted into an uproar. They all widened their eyes and let out exclamations one after another. This was a pet egg that caused even large corporations to compete for it, buying it just to give it to their daughter to eat. This was too unbelievable. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they definitely wouldn't believe that there would be such a person in the world. What kind of tycoon could do such a thing? They stared blankly at their father, who was riding on a peeing neck until he disappeared. Below them, Jin Youwei's body was trembling slightly. In terms of wealth, his spirit vein group could definitely be ranked in the top 50 in the entire East, not to mention the top 20. He was the great young master of the spirit vein group. He had tried his best to buy the pet egg, but it had been bought by another person and given to his daughter to eat. What kind of fucking rich second generation am I? The food that girl ate could make me work hard for a long time. Jin Youwei's expression changed drastically. With a dark expression, he immediately entered the supercar and left. God-level tycoon, a real God-level tycoon. A young man took out 300 million upper-grade spirit stones with a wave of his hand and bought a demigod-level first-grade pet egg for his daughter to eat. This incident was destined to cause a huge sensation. It was bound to cause everyone to be dumbstruck. The mysterious tycoon. Wang Xian and the rest flew towards the direction of Jianghu City. Yao Nu, who was following by the side, also followed behind with a face full of shock. Even though she had witnessed the horror of this group of people, she was still extremely shocked when she saw them casually buying a pet egg to eat with 300 million upper-grade spirit stones. Who are they? Alright, I think that swordsman once said 2 words, Dragon Palace. Chapter 1837. 1837. The former king of 1837, the king of Jianghu City. Dragon Palace. Yao Nu, who was following Wang Xian and the rest, was thinking about the name Dragon Palace. However, as she was only in her 20s, she didn't remember the name Dragon Palace. She didn't know what this name meant in the past. Many of the younger generation on Earth didn't know the names Dragon Palace and Dragon King. After all, the changes of this era were too fast. Dragon King, the river city, is in front of us. However, the river city has become much bigger. 6 years ago, an ancient land appeared in the river city. This is a dilapidated ancient land. It is not very complete and there are not many treasures in it. It is not valued by other forces. However, at that time, a woman from a small family in the Song family of the river city obtained an opportunity in the ancient land. Now, that woman from the Song family has the strength of a 7th level void interpretation. Now, the Song family is the most respected in the entire Jianghu City. The Song family group is also a somewhat famous group. The chairman Song Hanyu is also that lady. She is also somewhat famous in the same generation. After entering the area of Jianghu City, the 2 draconids introduced Wang Xian respectfully. Oh, what about Mo Qinglong's current strength? Upon hearing the words of the 2 draconids, Wang Xian was slightly surprised. Dragon King, the leader's current strength is at level 5 of the see-through realm. Our Dragon Gate has offended many people in the past. After the gods descended, the leader ordered us to keep a low profile to prevent others from taking revenge on us. Nowadays, opportunities are far greater than our previous strength. If a child can obtain a huge opportunity, he can also become a see-through realm powerhouse very quickly. The 2 draconids said with a slightly bitter tone. The once invincible Dragon Gate had completely lost its former might after the Earth's metamorphosis. Even if they were talking about the Dragon Gate now, some of the older generation would have to think about it for a while. How are the disciples of the Dragon Gate now? Wang Xian continued to ask. Overall they're not bad. After all, Dragon King, you have great prestige in Jianghu City. Even after the Song family rose to prominence, they are good to the Dragon Gate, the Qin family, the Shui family, the Wei family, the Zhang family, the Guan family, and the Lan family. The two Draconids replied. The Guan family and the Lan family were the family of Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue. As for the Wei family and the Zhang family, they were the family of his hometown, Uncle Zhang. The Wei family was the family that Sister Li had married into. That's good. Wang Xian nodded. No matter how the earth changed, as long as his family and old friends were around, it was enough. Since he was back, he could protect them. Do you still have the old seaside villa? Let's find a place. Wang Xian said to them directly. Dragon King, the changes in your old villa are gone. Let's go to the leader. The two Draconids said as they led them along. The sea had changed. The old river city had already undergone huge changes. Near the seaside, an ancient land appeared. The ancient land had an area of about 100 kilometers. Because it was a dilapidated ancient land, there were very few arrays inside. There were no demonic beasts or anything like that. Therefore, this ancient land became the most prosperous place. In the center of the ancient land, a tall building stood up. On it were the words Song Clan Group. Currently, the Song Clan Group was the most powerful one in the vicinity of Jianghu City. After the gods descended, those glorious clans that had once had a relationship with the Dragon King retreated into Jianghu City. Now they were on their way to decline. Even Jianghu City was ruled by the Song family group. In just a dozen years, the changes were too great. Dragon King, over here. The two Draconids landed on the ground. Jianghu City was more beautiful than before, with towering trees and luxuriant foliage. There was less concrete in the big city and more nature. With the recovery of spiritual essence, the whole city was dozens of times more beautiful than before. There's a small villa in front where the leader lives. After the Dragon Gate is disbanded, we will gather once every few months. The two of them smiled as they spoke. Compared to the cold disciples of the Dragon Gate in the past, they were much more humane. Let's go in. Wang Xian looked at the villa in front of him. It was located beside a river and was considered luxurious. Life was pretty good. He swept his gaze and saw 4 people inside the villa. One was a young man and the other was a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man and the old man were Mo Qinglong and his disciple, Mo Yuan. Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan were chatting in the room. When Wang Xian stepped into the door of the villa, their figures froze instantly. Their eyes were filled with excitement. Oh, what's wrong, Elder Mo? Look, about taking Xiaoji as a disciple? The elder sitting opposite Mo Qinglong was slightly stunned. He looked at the two of them with a puzzled expression and pointed at the young man standing beside him. The young man had a proud expression on his face. He held a sharp sword in his hand and exuded a lazy aura. Hua! However, just as the old man finished speaking, Mo Qinglong and Mo Sha stood up excitedly. They did not walk out excitedly. Oh! Seeing the two of them walk out directly, the old man in the room was slightly stunned. He slowly frowned. Oh, grandfather, they are not giving face to our Song family. I took him as my master because I gave him face. Our Song family has treated them well. If sister didn't say that she wanted to find me a powerhouse from the Lingxiao treasured palace as my master, I wouldn't have. Alright Xiaoji, don't be rude. In the future, be more respectful in front of Elder Mo. As the youth spoke, the elder beside him interrupted the youth's words. Seeing that Mo Qinglong and his disciple had lost their composure and were walking out, the elder hesitated for a moment before following behind them. He was very curious about who could make them lose their composure like this. After all, they used to be that man's subordinates. Even if he died, he left an indelible impression on many of the older generation in River City. He was once the king of River City. In addition, Mo Qinglong and the others had such powerful strength without any opportunities, so he still had a trace of respect in his heart. Tisk. Seeing his grandfather follow him out, the youth curled his lips in disdain and walked out. He's here, our king is finally here. Mo Qinglong and Mo Sha walked out, mumbling. After walking around a garden, he immediately saw a familiar figure. Although their Dragon King's form was a little strange, with a girl in his arms and a girl riding on his neck. But this was their king. Greetings, Dragon King. Greetings, Dragon King. The two of them sped up and kneeled in front of them, shouting excitedly. "Greetings, Dragon King?" At the back, the old man who had followed them out of the garden heard the words of Mo Qinglong and Mo Sha, and his body shook violently. He slightly widened his eyes and looked at the young man walking in the middle. When he saw that face, his head roared. It was really the Dragon King, the once invincible Dragon King. Chapter 1838. 1838. The former king of 1838, the king of Jianghu City. The Dragon King was still alive. The Dragon King was still alive. Back when the sea god destroyed the Dragon Palace with one move, the Dragon King was still alive. The old man stood there staring at that figure with shock. Even after more than 10 years, that figure's face didn't change at all. The former king of Jianghu City. The king who made all the aristocratic families submit to him. He vaguely remembered that back then the Song family and the him at that time all needed to look up to this figure. Who? The old man's breathing was slightly hurried. What are Elder Mo and the others doing? Why are they kneeling down to that young man? At this moment, the young man's voice sounded beside him. That's the Dragon King, the former king of Jianghu City. The old man sighed slightly, his eyes shining. What Dragon King? What king of Jianghu City? Grandfather, our Song group is the king of Jianghu City now. The young master looked at his grandfather and said directly with some doubt. His gaze swept over the young man in front of him. A girl was riding on his neck. The former king? Bullshit. When the old man heard his grandson's words, his expression changed slightly. He looked hesitant. Get up. At the front, Wang Xian looked at Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan. A faint smile appeared on his face. Dragon King, you're finally back. Mo Qinglong stood up with tears streaming down his face. You're already so old. Why are you still crying? Wang Xian smiled and reached out to carry the flower on his head down. No, 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 Daddy. The little one was still reluctant and struggled. All right. Let this big sister carry you for a while. Wang Xian pinched her face and gestured to the veiled lady. Yes, sir. Flower, come and let this big sister carry you. The lady was a little nervous and quickly reached out her hand to hug Huar. No, Daddy Wall. The little one held tightly onto Wang Xian's arm, unwilling to leave her embrace. When Kair saw this, she also held her tightly. You two little ones, you can't let me hug you all the time. Wang Xian said to them helplessly. Daddy smells good. Kair, who had always been quiet and ladylike, said in a tender voice. Smells good. Wang Xian was slightly taken aback. Following that, he had a slight understanding in his heart. The two little brats were obviously of the wood attribute. He had the ancestral tree in his body, which had a fatal attraction to them. This was also one of the reasons why the two little brats had called her father the moment they woke up. Wang Xian's heart skipped a beat. The god-striking branch appeared in his hand. An emerald green light flashed past. Grab it. Wang Xian said to the two little ones. But when the god-striking branch appeared, the two-star grass above the little ones' heads trembled visibly. Daddy hug. The two little ones clearly felt a familiar aura from the god-striking branch. They immediately stretched out their hands to grab it. However, Kair was still looking at Wang Xian with her watery eyes. Let me give you a hug first. Wang Xian gestured to Yao Nu, who immediately spread out her arms to hug him. Although the two little guys were very reluctant, they still reluctantly left Wang Xian's embrace. Phew. He heaved a sigh of relief and looked at Mo Qinglong and the rest. Let's go, let's enter the house. It's the Dragon King. Dragon King, are these two little princesses? Mo Qinglong stood up excitedly and asked the two little fellows. You can say that. Wang Xian nodded his head. At the front, the old man was a little nervous when he saw the Dragon King walking over. Dragon King. After hesitating for a moment, the old man cupped his hands and shouted. This made the young master at the side look at his grandfather in astonishment. Grandfather, he. The young man was about to say something when he was glared at by the old man. He immediately shut his mouth. This made the young master even more displeased. Who was this young man to make his grandfather so reserved? In the entire Jianghu city, who would dare to make his grandfather behave like this? Dragon King, this is Elder Song from the Song group. He takes great care of us. Mo Qinglong immediately introduced him to Wang Xian. Oh, I heard from Mo 15 and the rest. Let's go in. Wang Xian looked at Elder Song, nodded his head and walked straight in. So cocky? When the young man saw how Wang Xian behaved, he frowned and a look of displeasure flashed across his eyes. Don't speak. Elder Song whispered to him and followed behind him hesitantly. He didn't know if the current Dragon King was still the former Dragon King. After all, the current strength of the Song family wasn't weak. They were publicly acknowledged as the overlord of Jianghu City. But at least on the surface, Elder Song still respected the Dragon King. Just by relying on the strength of the former Dragon Gate, it was still worthy of respect. The group walked into the villa. Wang Xian sat on the sofa in the middle. He looked at Yao Nu and ordered her to hug Huar and Kair to sit at the side. Huh? The young man beside Elder Song frowned slightly when he saw Wang Xian walking in and sitting on the sofa in the middle. The displeasure on his face was even more obvious. Azure Dragon, I'm back this time. I won't be leaving for the time being. Find me a house by the sea. Also, Wang Xian sat down and spoke to Mo Azure Dragon and the rest who were standing in front of him without sitting down. Senior Mo, my grandfather wants me to acknowledge you as my master. What do you think about this, Senior Mo? If you agree, our Song family will hold a ceremony to acknowledge you as our master another day. If you don't agree, don't waste our time here. I, Song Shanji, don't really care. At this moment, a voice interrupted Wang Xian and spoke directly to Mo Qinglong. Xiaoji, stop talking. Elder Song frowned slightly and shouted when he saw his grandson talking impatiently. However, he didn't blame him too much. The Dragon King was only the former Wang Xian. Now the Song family was. Moreover, the Dragon King who was carrying the two little kids felt that he was no longer as sharp and domineering as before. That imposing manner that made people submit to him was gone. He had a feeling that even if the Dragon King was still alive, he would still fall. Grandpa, can our Song family still not speak in Jianghu City? I don't know who the Dragon King is, nor do I know who the former king of Jianghu City was. In the current Jianghu City, our Song family is the king. Song Shanji looked at Wang Xian with contempt. He raised his head slightly and had an arrogant expression on his face. In Jianghu City he, Song Shanji, had the right and ability to say such words. Kid, I don't care who you are. In the future, when you speak to my grandfather and me, you'd better be more respectful. Don't you know whose territory this is? He stood and looked down at Wang Xian who was sitting there. He extended his finger and pointed at him. He. Wang Xian looked down at the young man who was pointing at him. A smile appeared on his face. Mo Qinglong and Mo Sha, who were at the side, had a slight change in their expressions. A murderous aura instantly burst out from their bodies. The former king, the current king? Wang Xian waved his hand and asked Mo Qinglong and the rest to withdraw their aura. On account of your Song family's meritorious service, on account of your ignorance, I'll spare your life. Chapter 1839. 1839. The former king of 1839, the king of Jianghu City. On account of our Song family's meritorious service, on account of my ignorance, please spare my life. Haha, arrogant, really arrogant. Spare my life. In the entire Jianghu City with my sister around, who would dare to touch me, Song Shanji? Kit, you are really arrogant. Do you really think you are the king? Ah. When Song Shanji heard Wang Xian's words, he couldn't help but burst into laughter. The funniest sentence he heard today was to spare his life. Her sister was someone who had dealings with the elite disciples of the Lingxiao treasure palace. Now, what bullshit Dragon King dared to say that he would spare his life? Elder Song, who was standing at the side, immediately frowned when he heard his grandson's words. Dragon King, this little grandson of mine is young and ignorant. Elder Song immediately said apologetically. But before he could finish speaking, before the smile on Song Shanji's face disappeared, Elder Song, as well as Song Shanji's grandfather and grandson, sensed that something was wrong with the atmosphere. A vast and mighty pressure that even made him tremble came over. Elder Song's expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly looked at the Dragon King. He saw the Dragon King looking at the two of them calmly. At this moment, the sound of someone vomiting blood could be heard from the side. He quickly turned his head to look at his grandson. This. At this moment, Song Shanji's face was extremely pale. There was not a trace of blood on his face. He was spitting out blood and was filled with fear. He stared at Wang Xian and his eyes were filled with astonishment. Dragon King, please? Elder Song hurriedly stood in front of his grandson. Bang! At this moment, Song Shanji fell heavily to the ground. No, Dragon King, you actually killed my grandson. Elder Song saw his grandson lying on the ground and roared angrily. As soon as he finished speaking, he felt an incomparably terrifying force pressing down on his body. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. A powerless, insignificant and ant-like feeling surged into his mind. This caused Elder Song's face to be filled with astonishment. Although he wasn't as strong as his granddaughter, he was still the second strongest member of the Song family. He was at the third level of the Void Interpretation Realm, which was ranked in the top 10 in Jianghu City. In front of the Dragon King he felt like he was an ant. Even if he met a demigod expert from the Lingxiao Treasured Palace, the Divine Son he met did not have such a terrifying aura. Vast and invincible. He collapsed on the ground, a look of despair on his face. The Dragon King, who had disappeared for more than 10 years, was actually so terrifying. The former king had returned. Huff huff huff. Just when he thought he was going to die, the pressure on his body disappeared instantly. This made the despairing boss Song gasp for breath. Your grandson isn't dead. Don't worry. You should understand my actions. At this moment, the voice of the Dragon King rang in his ears. Old Song's face showed that he had survived a disaster. Thank you, Dragon King. Thank you, Dragon King. He immediately knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Wang Xian. Just now, he was still wondering if the Dragon King was still the same Dragon King as before. However, now he had a feeling that the current Dragon King was even more terrifying than before. He had a feeling about the vast pressure and the feeling of being an ant. He was facing a high and mighty god. That's right, a god. He heaved a heavy sigh of relief when he thought of the Dragon King's past behavior. All the elders in Jianghu City knew the Dragon King's temper. If you don't provoke me, I won't provoke you. If you owe me a favor, I will naturally repay you with all my strength. Elder Song was somewhat glad at this moment. He was glad that the Song family treated the Dragon King's relatives and friends better. Otherwise, he had no doubt that the entire Song family would be directly destroyed. After feeling the Dragon King's strength, he had no doubt. He calmed his heart and felt the life force of his grandson. He heaved a sigh of relief. Get up. I just came back. There are many things that I don't know. Your Song family has contributed greatly. I will reward you. Wang Xian said directly to Elder Song. It's the Dragon King. It's the Dragon King. Xiaoji is young and insensible. I will definitely teach him a good lesson in the future. Sendai said hurriedly. He didn't dare to stand up. All right, I'll give you a little reward first. You may leave now. Wang Xian waved his hand at them. In an instant, Elder Song felt the scene around him change. When he looked around again, he realized that he had already stood up and appeared outside the villa. Yes. Elder Song couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Teleportation. This was something that only demigods could do. However, with the strength of a demigod, they could only teleport together with others. However, now, with a casual wave of his hand, he couldn't feel any fluctuations and directly appeared outside. How could a demigod be able to do this kind of spatial transformation with a wave of his hand? The Dragon King is here, the Dragon King is here, your king is here. Elder Song muttered. Boom. All of a sudden, Elder Song felt a majestic energy churning in his body. He widened his eyes, filled with shock and disbelief. Roar. An awe-inspiring roar came from his body, and the strength he sensed was rapidly increasing. 4th level of the Profound Void Martial Stage, 5th level of the Profound Void Martial Stage, 6th level of the Profound Void Martial Stage. He didn't stop until he reached the peak of the Profound Void Martial Stage. Is this the reward that the Dragon King gave me first? Elder Song's body trembled and his face was flushed red. With a wave of his hand, he reached the peak of the Profound Void Martial Stage. This was too terrifying. All of a sudden, he slowly raised his head and looked at the incomparably vast Ling Shao Palace in the sky. His eyes sparkled. Who? Elder Song took a deep breath and slowly picked up his grandson who was standing next to him. He looked at the location of the villa. Plop. Elder Song directly knelt on the ground and kowtowed respectfully. Thank you for the reward, Dragon King. He bowed sincerely and slowly stood up. Should we inform the others of the Dragon King's return? No. Without the Dragon King's order, we must not tell anyone. The Dragon King is even more terrifying than before. Elder Song muttered to himself. He felt as if he was worshipping a god. He had a feeling that the current Dragon King was comparable to the god in the sky who was high up in the palace. This feeling was very strong. Haha, I, Song Qingshi, have made the best choice in my life. Song Qingshi, who was full of smiles, walked towards the Song group in a good mood. Yeah. In the room of the villa, Elder Song and Song Shanji were sent out by Wang Xian with a wave of his hand. Huar, who did not sense the imposing aura, wanted to crawl towards Wang Xian mischievously. Azure Dragon, call the disciples of the Dragon Gate over for a gathering. Wang Xian coiled Huar's head and said to Imo Qinglong. It's the Dragon King. There are already disciples of the Dragon Gate getting married and having children. Imo Qinglong said with a smile. That's good. Since they are safe and sound, let them be safe and sound in the future. Wang Xian nodded his head. He had no plans to rebuild the Dragon Gate. With the Dragon Palace around, there was no need for the Dragon Gate to exist. Chapter 1840. 1840. In the dusty history of 1840, the disciples of the Dragon Gate once fought for him. Now that he was strong, he naturally had to help his former subordinates. Moreover, helping his former subordinates was a piece of cake for him. Mo Yuan walked out to gather the disciples of the Dragon Gate. Mo Qinglong stood by the side and kept talking to Wang Xian about everything that had happened in the past few years, including the changes on Earth, including some of Wang Xian's family and friends. Sister Li, who got married 14 to 15 years ago, now had a child who was already 13 to 14 years old. Wang Xian's only in-name disciple was taken in as a disciple of the Ling Shao treasured palace when it had just descended. The former sect Master Ling of the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect and the rest were also taken in as disciples of the Ling Shao treasured palace. As Mo Qinglong spoke, he brewed a cup of tea for Wang Xian. Wang Xian sat there quietly and listened. Meanwhile, Yao Nu sat quietly at the side and watched Huar Kaiyar. However, she was extremely shocked. What shocked her was not the other things, but the emerald green branch that Huar Kaiyar was holding. When her hand touched the branch, a vast amount of wood vitality and sharpness was transmitted into her body. She was even certain that as long as she sat cross-legged and cultivated, she would be able to achieve a breakthrough immediately by relying on this branch. If she held on to this branch for a long time, her strength would reach a terrifying level. A subordinate can kill a divine son with a casual blow, kill a demigod expert, and casually buy a demigod-level pet egg for his daughter to eat. An incomparably vast pressure, able to send a person out with a casual wave of his hand. What kind of existence is he? Dragon Palace? Dragon King? Yaonuan's heart was racing when she heard their words. She couldn't think of the names Dragon Palace and Dragon King even if she racked her brain. She really wanted to use her phone to check, but she didn't dare to do so while sitting here. The mysterious Dragon King in front of her made her feel extremely powerful. Grandpa, what happened to Xiaoji? Didn't you take him to Master Mo? At the same time, in the center of the ancient land was the Song Corporation. Next to the Song Corporation's building, in an extremely luxurious villa. When Elder Song carried his grandson into the villa, a woman walked over. When she saw her grandfather and brother, she was slightly stunned and quickly walked over. It's okay, this kid needs discipline. Elder Song shook his head. He had already checked his grandson's injuries and found that he did not sustain any injuries. However, he might be unconscious for a day or two. Grandfather, who injured Xiaoji? Elder Imo? Chimch, this is too disrespectful to me, Song Hanyu. This time, if Brother Feiyu did not invite the seniors of the Ling Shao treasured palace, how could he let Xiaoji take him as his master? Song Hanyu's face was frosty as she spoke, her body emitting the aura of a strong woman. All right, Hanyu, this matter is over. Elder Song shook his head and said in a deep voice. Oh, it's Grandpa. Song Hanyu saw that her grandfather's face was solemn, and she also restrained her aura. Towards her grandfather, even if her strength was now stronger than her grandfather's, her heart was still filled with respect and fear. Tomorrow, I'll bring you to visit someone. Elder Song looked at his granddaughter, a tall and slim beauty with a good figure and a first-class face. He suddenly had an idea and said, Visit someone? Song Hanyu was slightly surprised, but then she frowned. Grandfather, I'm afraid it won't be possible for the next 2 days. Brother Han Feiyu and a few other powerful disciples of the Ling Shao treasured palace are coming over. I'm going to entertain them for the next few days, so I can't leave. Grandpa, I'm going out to welcome them now. You can push the disciples from the Lingxiao treasured palace away tomorrow. Come with me to visit someone first. It's settled then. Elder Song pondered for a moment and said in a strong voice as he walked into the villa. Grandpa. Song Hanyu opened her mouth slightly and frowned. She found that her grandpa was a little strange today. In the past he always talked to her with a tone of discussion. Why was he like this today? However, before she could think too much about it, her phone rang. She looked at the name on it and immediately smiled. She quickly walked out. Master. Master. When Elder Song entered the villa, the servant saw that he was holding Song Shanji and quickly came up to him. Yes, just put Xiaoji in the room. Elder Song was thinking about some problems expressionlessly in his mind. He walked to the chair in the room and sat down. According to our report, heaven and earth are crying, the ocean is mutating, and the downpour is falling without warning. It seems that a god has fallen. According to our reporter from the Myth Channel, we have confirmed a shocking news. The Spirit Sea Palace has disappeared at the bottom of the ocean. Some disciples of the Spirit Sea Palace are kneeling in the sky above the ocean in grief and indignation. Now, it is basically confirmed that the sea god has fallen. A god has fallen. This is... A message suddenly appeared on the TV that was turned on in front of him. Elder Song suddenly raised his head and stared at the report on the TV. His expression changed slightly. He immediately took out his phone and opened the forum. The world is shaking. The sea god has been confirmed dead, and the sea god palace has disappeared. The death of a god, the death of the sea god, and the wailing of heaven and earth. Which god killed him? According to speculation, the death of the sea god should not be the work of the other four major forces. Could it be that Earth has given birth to an expert who can kill a god? Elder Song read the posts one by one, and after opening them, his expression changed. What a shock. A godly tycoon has appeared at the east gate of the Jade Lake ancient land. He bought a demigod-level pet egg for his daughter with 300 million high-grade spirit stones. A godly tycoon has appeared out of nowhere. Who exactly is this expert? My daughter said that she wanted a demigod-level pet egg, so she bought it casually. My daughter said that she wanted to eat it, so she cooked it directly with a photo attached. After the death of the sea god, it is suspected that the son of God of the Lingxiao treasure hall has fallen. The mystery of the death of the peerless heaven's favorite, the 9 heavens. Among the countless posts about the death of the sea god, there were 2 more topics that were more eye-catching. Elder Song hesitated for a moment and opened it to take a casual look. However, when he saw the post of the god tycoon appearing out of nowhere, he took a deep breath after looking at the pictures inside. Although the pictures only had the back and only the back, he could be 100% sure that it was the Dragon King and his group. The sea god fell as soon as the Dragon King appeared. He bought a demigod pet for his daughter to eat with a wave of his hand, and the divine son who died in the Jade Lake ancient land. Was everything a coincidence, or? Elder Song pursed his lips and felt his current strength again. His face revealed an excited expression. His body trembled slightly, and he leaned on the chair and exhaled heavily. In his mind, the dust-laden history of the Dragon King was revealed one scene after another, and each scene was clearly replayed. Chapter 1841. 1841 and 1841's long history. Daddy hug, daddy hug. On the top floor of Mo Qinglong's villa, 2 little girls were running towards Wang Xian barefooted. Yao Nu, who was following closely behind them, was holding onto the god-striking twigs in her hands. All right, you're done bathing, right? Go to your rooms and sleep. Call me if you need anything. Wang Xian looked at the 2 little ones who had just showered. He stroked their heads and said to them, "No, daddy hug. Daddy hug." The 2 little ones stretched out their arms reluctantly and looked at him with their big watery eyes. All right, all right. Facing his 2 adorable daughters, Wang Xian's heart was extremely tender. He held them in his arms with one hand and the other. Are you hungry? Do you want to eat something? Wang Xian sat on the chair and placed them on his lap. When he was done talking to Mo Qinglong, he had brought over quite a lot of food. Unfortunately, the 2 little fellows didn't eat any of it. Eat, eat delicious food. Huar clapped her hands and said as she stomped her feet. All right, I'll show you what's here to eat. Wang Xian took out his interspatial ring and took a look. He had some fruits at the insightful void tier and demigod tier. Other than these, there were also some meat. The meat of the dragons from the supernatural continent was all at the demigod tier and was extremely precious. Eating these foods would bring great benefits to ordinary people. Other than that, he had also obtained a lot of resources and treasures from the Divine Sea Palace. The most precious thing was the Heaven's Marrow water. It was a very viscous liquid that contained a huge amount of energy. To water elemental cultivators, it was a priceless treasure. This Heaven Marrow water weighed more than 10 kilograms and was considered a treasure of the godly state. There were also many other treasures such as spiritual herbs and fruits. All of you sit here first. Wang Xian poured some Heaven Marrow water for each of them and roasted a piece of dragon meat. Sir, I'll feed the little princess and the rest. Yao Nu, who was standing at the side, walked over and asked respectfully. All right. You feed the flowers. I'll feed Kair. Wang Xian nodded and gave her the food. I want daddy feed, I want daddy feed. War shouted. All right. Wang Xian smiled. There were two little girls. One was extremely mischievous while the other was extremely ladylike. The difference in the personalities of these two sisters was too huge. Yao Nu held the food and felt the powerful energy fluctuation from it. Her heart was shocked again. Especially the liquid that was emitting a divine light in the cup. She couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. After feeding the two little guys, they were soon sleepy. Wang Xian and Yao Nu placed them on the bed. You take care of them in the room. You can use them to cultivate when you have nothing to do. Wang Xian looked at Yao Nu, who was standing at the side, and said to her, Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yao Nu hurriedly called out respectfully. Her eyes were filled with excitement. She didn't expect that the proud daughter of heaven, who was high and mighty, would become like a maid in just one day. Okay. Wang Xian nodded his head and walked out. He wasn't worried that the two little girls would be in danger. There were two star grass protecting their heads. Without the help of the gods, no one could hurt them. Wang Xian went to the living room and opened the computer on the table. The current computer was completely different from the previous one. It was even more high-tech. He opened the forum that Yao Nu had told him about today and browsed through the information on it. When he saw the posts on the forum one by one, a faint smile appeared on his face. In the entire forum, 70% of the posts were about the fall of the sea god, 15% were about the mysterious tycoon, and 15% were about the fall of the son of God. Every post was related to him. He skimmed through the new posts and browsed through the old ones with great interest. It felt like he was reading a novel in the past. While Wang Xian was reading the posts on the forum, Yao Nu did not cultivate immediately in the room inside. Even though she had the powerful Zun Shen by her side. At this moment she took out her phone and searched for a message with a curious expression. Dragon Palace, Dragon King. 2 keywords. When the messages appeared one by one, a surprised expression appeared on her face. Later, a shocked expression slowly appeared on her face. Are these real or fake? Could it be that the memories of some of the people above are real? Her eyes widened slightly, and her eyes were filled with shock. The Earth's metamorphosis, the computer once ushered in a huge revolution, and the computers of the past were abandoned. The computers of today all had information from the recent years. However, there were still some people who had entered the information in the encyclopedia. Among them, there was information about the Dragon Palace and the Dragon King. Some people over the age of 30 or 40 should understand what the word Dragon King means. I finally know why I feel that this name is somewhat familiar. So, the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace, who has been around for more than a decade, is the overlord of Earth, an invincible existence. Yao Nu muttered to herself. Looking at the deeds of the Dragon King, her face was filled with shock and awe. Let's follow him for the time being. Yao Nu gave up on the last thought of escaping. She looked at the flowers on the bed with envy. Following that, her eyes flickered as she stared at the god-beating branches in front of her. A night passed very quickly. Wang Xian spent the entire night reading all kinds of information and didn't sleep. However, early in the morning, many excited figures entered the villa. There were a total of 49 draconids, including the Devil Abyss and the demonic Azure Dragon. Initially, there were 51 draconids, including the demonic Azure Dragon. 2 of them died in the middle. Greetings, Dragon King. When Wang Xian arrived at the villa, the 49 draconids immediately knelt on the ground and shouted loudly. Get up. Wang Xian swept his gaze across them and waved his hand with a smile on his face. A powerful force made them stand up immediately. He sat on the sofa at the side and looked at all the faces. Over the past 10 years, some of them were fathers with a trace of benevolence and vicissitudes on their faces. The strength of the Draconids was not very strong. The only ones at the see-through level were the demonic Azure Dragon and the demonic Abyss. The rest of the Draconids' disciples were mostly at the level of level 7 to the peak of Transcendence. If they were placed on Earth, they would still be considered strong. Only those who had obtained the opportunity were slightly stronger than them. Back then, I used my bloodline to make all of you submit to me. The fact that all of you possess the divine dragon bloodline is unchangeable. However, the strength of my bloodline was too weak back then. Was too weak. This time, I will reward all of you again. As Wang Xian spoke, he waved his arm. Drops of divine dragon bloodline that contained powerful energy flew towards them. At that time, the power of his bloodline was too weak. If the group of Draconids were to absorb his bloodline again, their strength would receive a huge boost. This could be considered as the reward that Wang Xian had given the group of Draconids for the past 10 years. It would also give them a place to stand. Chapter 1842. 1842. Whose era does this belong to? Thank you, Dragon King. The 49 Draconids knelt respectfully in the living room of the villa. Their faces were filled with excitement. Drops of dazzling divine dragon's blood floated in front of them. With Wang Xian's current ability to kill and ignite 3 wisps of divine fire, the power of his bloodline was extremely huge. Moreover, just now, he injected drops of heaven's marrow water and some demigod-level elixirs into his bloodline. This drop of blood contained a power comparable to that of a demigod. The 49 Draconids knelt on the ground. It was just like how Wang Xian had injected his bloodline into them more than 10 years ago. They were slowly absorbing it. Qitian, inject your cultivation experience regarding the darkness attribute into their minds. Wang Xian brewed a cup of tea and ordered Ao Qitian, who was beside him. It's the Dragon King. Ao Qitian nodded. With a thought, 49 strands of hair fell on their bodies and fused into one with them. Ao Qitian's hair was not ordinary hair. No matter what, Ao Qitian was a god who could kill a wisp of divine fire. His hair and his understanding of the darkness attribute were comparable to ordinary gods. There were no reserved gifts. Only gods would do this to their own children. Even if it was to their disciples, they might not be unreserved. Boom, boom, boom. When the group of Draconids absorbed the divine dragon's blood and Ao Qitian's hair, waves of powerful aura emanated from their bodies. The strength of the extraordinary Draconids shook violently. They had reached the insightful void stage directly and were improving at a terrifying speed. Wang Xian sensed the strength of the Draconids and stood up. He walked to the kitchen. He took out the dragon meat and fried it briefly. Then he started to taste it casually. Phew. An hour later, the demonic Azure Dragon was the first to open his eyes. His eyes were filled with excitement. Thank you, Dragon King. He knelt on the ground respectfully and shouted at Wang Xian. Wang Xian waved his hand and continued to play with his phone. Soon, the Draconids woke up one by one. Their bodies were filled with powerful energy. The weakest of them had reached the peak of the see-through void stage, while the demonic Azure Dragon Abyss had reached the demigod stage. Furthermore, they had not completely absorbed the energy. Once they had done so, they would all be able to reach the first level of the demigod stage. The group of Draconids revealed an excited look on their faces. Among the heaven's chosen divine sons, 90% of them were not as strong as them. The only ones who could match up to them were the group of powerhouses who had descended from the Lingxiao treasured palace. How many of our brothers are already married and have children? Wang Xian looked at the group of happy Draconids and asked with a smile on his face. Dragon King, your subordinate is married and has a boy. Dragon King, your subordinate is also married and has a 7-year-old girl. Dragon King. The Dragon Gate disciples reported respectfully. Bring your loved ones and children over for a gathering when you have time. Let me meet them too. Wang Xian said to them. Yes, it's the Dragon King. The group of Draconids nodded with a smile. Grandpa, who did you bring me here to visit? The seniors from the Lingxiao Palace are already here. I wanted to bring them here today. While Wang Xian was conversing with the group of Draconids, Elder Song brought his granddaughter to the entrance of the villa. Song Hanyu frowned and spoke to her grandfather impatiently. She looked a little anxious. You'll know when you arrive. You must be respectful later. Elder Song reminded her again and again. Grandfather, who is it? Song Hanyu frowned. Don't speak. Elder Song waved his hand at her before shouting respectfully into the villa. Dragon King, Song Qingshi from the Song family is here to pay his respects. He took a deep breath and shouted into the villa. Song Hanyu, who was standing at the side, widened her eyes when she saw her grandfather's attitude. Ha! Wang Xian, who was in the room, heard the sounds from outside and looked around. Tell them to come back in a few days. Wang Xian said to Mo Qinglong. It's the Dragon King. Mo Qinglong nodded and walked out immediately. Elder Song, the Dragon King is not free at the moment. I will inform you in a few days. Mo Qinglong walked out and said to Elder Song when he saw him. It's fine, it's fine. Any time is fine. Elder Song waved his hand. Oh right, Elder Song, if it's convenient, I'll have to trouble you to help me find a villa. It would be best if it's quiet. Mo Qinglong continued to speak to Elder Song. Sure. Leave such a small matter to me. Elder Mo, please send my regards to the Dragon King. Elder Song patted his chest and promised with a smile. Okay. Mo Qinglong nodded with a smile and walked into the villa. At the door, Elder Song's eyes were filled with excitement. It seemed to be a great honor to be able to serve the Dragon King. However, Song Hanyu, who was standing at the side, frowned, her eyes shining. Grandpa, what's going on inside? Hanyu, you go do your own thing first, I'm going to take care of some things. Song Hanyu was about to speak when Elder Song interrupted her, turned around and left after thinking for a while. Now he was thinking about where to get a luxurious villa for the Dragon King. Grandpa. She opened her mouth slightly and called out. Then she turned around and looked at the villa of the Azure Dragon Demon. She thought for a while and then moved. A purple cloud appeared under her feet and flew toward her own villa. Bang, bang, bang. Bastard! Where's my grandpa? Where's my grandpa? Just as she returned to her room, she heard the sound of something being smashed. Xiaoji. She heard the sound and entered the villa with a frown. When she saw the broken teacup on the ground, she looked at her younger brother. Xiaoji, you're awake. Song Hanyu looked at her younger brother who had just woken up and walked over. Sister, you have to avenge me. The Dragon King dared to attack me yesterday. Sister, you have to avenge me. Seeing his sister come in, Song Shanji immediately shouted aggrievedly. His sister had always loved him very much. It was because of his sister that he had his current status. What's wrong, Xiaoji? Yesterday Grandpa took you to be his disciple. What exactly happened? Tell me and I will avenge you. Song Hanyu stroked his head with an ice-cold expression and said lovingly. Sister, it's that Dragon King. He was the Dragon King of Jianghu City. He was the one who attacked me. It's him. Did Grandpa avenge me yesterday? Song Shanji said angrily. Dragon King? Dragon King? Song Hanyu had just heard this name from her grandfather. Now that her brother reminded her again, she felt a little familiar. In her memory this name existed. She took out her phone and immediately started searching. When she saw the information on it, her expression changed slightly. Sister, I realized that my strength has actually regressed. It's all because of that Dragon King. Sister, you have to avenge me. Song Shanji's angry voice came from the side. No wonder grandfather acted so strangely. However, the Dragon King has already become history. Grandfather is also a little old and muddle-headed. The sky now belongs to our generation. It belongs to the Lingxiao treasured palace. What Dragon King? It has already become the past. Song Hanyu looked at her younger brother and gently stroked his head. Don't worry, Xiaoji. The current Jianghu city is the territory of our Song group. As she spoke, she slowly turned off her phone. The Song group was taken down by her. She would tell everyone whose territory this was. Whose era is this? Chapter 1843. 1843 Draconid Fearless 1. Butler Lu, go and investigate that Dragon King for me. Find out all the information about him and control his every move. In the Song family's villa, Song Hanyu sat on a chair with a dignified expression and asked a middle-aged man in front of her. Miss, where's the master? The middle-aged man stood in front and asked with a slight frown. I will tell him about my grandfather's side. Go. Song Hanyu said expressionlessly. Yes, miss? The middle-aged man nodded and immediately walked out. Sister, he actually dared to attack me. I want to teach him a lesson with my own hands. Song Shanji's eyes flickered with a cold light as she shouted in a low voice. Brother Han Feiyu and the disciples of the Lingxiao Treasured Palace are here. I will bring you to interact with them for the next few days. This time, let Brother Feiyu see if he can find a master for you. In that case, Xiaoji, you can join the Lingxiao Treasure Palace. With your talent, you can make a name for yourself by joining the Lingxiao Treasure Palace. Song Hanyu turned to her brother and said, Sister, is Brother Feiyu here? Let's go find him. Song Shanji's face lit up and he said quickly, I'm afraid I can't do it today. I've already told Brother Feiyu that I don't have time today, so I can't go over again. Let's go tomorrow. Song Hanyu shook her head. Dragon King, you don't know that 29 and 46, these two guys have a boy and a girl, and they even arranged a baby marriage. What era is this? They even arranged a baby marriage. Haha, at the very least we already have a wife and a child. What about you guys? You don't even have a girlfriend. Only a lunatic would find a girlfriend. How carefree and free you are now. Ah. In Mo Qinglong's villa, the group of draconids gathered together and chatted happily. Wang Xian also spoke from time to time. This atmosphere made him very happy. You guys are not young anymore. It's time for you to find a girlfriend. Wang Xian smiled and said to a few draconids who were obviously slacking off. Yes, it's the Dragon King. We are not in a hurry now. A few draconids immediately said with a smile. Wang Xian had just told them to relax and not be so restrained. Now that they had chatted for more than an hour, the group of draconids gradually let go. Daddy. Daddy. At this moment, Huar and Kair's voices could be heard from the stairway. Ha. The group of draconids was slightly stunned. They immediately stood up and looked at the two little girls respectfully. No matter what, identity was identity. It was the first time they met the little princess and they had to kneel down. Come here, come here. Wang Xian raised his head and looked over. A hint of astonishment flashed across his eyes. Compared to yesterday, the flowers and Kair had obviously changed a lot. If they looked like 1-year-olds yesterday, they looked like 2-year-old children now. The two little ones could already walk quickly. Yao Nu, who was at the side, was obviously following behind them in astonishment. She didn't expect that the two children would grow up so quickly in just one night. However, Wang Xian was not too surprised. After all, these two girls could not be treated as ordinary babies. They were the resurrected ancient gods. Daddy. Huar quickened her pace and ran toward Wang Xian with her arms wide open. Greetings, princess. In the hall, the draconids immediately knelt on the ground respectfully. Yeah. Huar, who was running over, was slightly shocked. Rise. However, the little girl was stunned for 2 seconds. She waved her hand and looked extremely familiar with her posture. Huar, who was waving her hand, seemed to have forgotten what she was doing. She continued to spread her arms and pounced on Wang Xian. When he saw Huar's actions earlier, Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. Could it be that my memory is slowly recovering? He was deep in thought. Daddy, daddy, kiss. Huar ran over and immediately kissed Wang Xian's face. Following that, she happily climbed onto Wang Xian's neck. It seemed like she had a soft spot for peeing. Daddy. Kair also trotted over. She spread her arms and begged her cutely for a hug. The two little fellows who looked almost identical looked extremely cute. As he looked at them, some of the things in his mind were thrown to the back of his mind. He carried Kair up dotingly. Are you hungry? What do you want to eat? Wang Xian asked them with a smile. I'm not hungry, I'm not hungry. The little fellows on top shook their legs. I want to go out and play. Go out and play. She sat on Wang Xian's neck and hugged his head as she shook it. All right. I'll bring you out later. Wang Xian looked at the clothes on them. Due to the rapid growth, Yao Nu could only condense a green dress with the wood attribute. Although it fit well, it could not be compared to professional clothes. All of you get up. Wang Xian looked at the draconids who were still kneeling and waved his hand. It's the Dragon King. The two little princesses are so beautiful. The group of draconids smiled and nodded. Dragon King, I have some toys for my son. If the little princess doesn't mind, let them play with them. One of the draconids bowed slightly and took out a few small toys with a smile on his face. Daddy, I want to play with them. The extremely mischievous flower immediately stretched out her small hand and shouted, all right, give them to the little princess." The Draconid smiled and handed over the toy in his hand. The flower took the toy and immediately giggled. Buzz 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 buzz. At this moment, the Draconid's phone that handed over the toy kept trembling. He frowned slightly and closed it without a trace, but his voice kept ringing. "I'm sorry, Dragon King." He bowed and retreated backward. He took out his phone and took a glance. However, his retreating body soon froze. Anger flashed across his body and his expression changed drastically. Wang Xian was slightly stunned when he saw the change in his subordinate's aura. He took a glance and the information on his phone fell into his line of sight. This Draconid had hung up a lot of calls just now. Now this was the 20th message. "What's wrong, Lao Jiao?" Mo Yuan walked over and patted him on the shoulder. He, who had already advanced to the demigod realm, could also sense that something was wrong with Emojio. "Emojio, you go and settle the matters at home. I'll bring the two little fellows to the mall to buy some clothes. Bring your family over for a gathering in 2 days." Wang Xian stood up and carried Kyer. There were flowers hanging on his head as he smiled and walked out. Yao Nu hurriedly followed behind him. Ao Jian and Ao Qitian followed as well. "That's right." Wang Xian paused after taking a few steps. "Although the Dragon Gate has been disbanded, you are still my subordinates. As my subordinates, the people with the divine dragon bloodline, we will not steal, rob, bully or humiliate anyone. Similarly, we will not fear anyone. On this earth no one can bully us. Whoever bullies us will be repaid tenfold. Not even the gods." After saying that, he brought the two little fellows out of the villa's door. Chapter 1844. 1844 Draconids are fearless too. A calm voice reverberated throughout the hall of the villa. In the room, the Draconids trembled slightly when they heard Wang Xian's words. Looking at the back view of the two children who were leaving, all the Draconids had a look of awe on their faces. "We shall obey the order of the Dragon King." Mo Qinglong took the lead and bowed to Wang Xian's departing figure. "As you command, Dragon King." All the Draconids were moved and grateful. Wang Xian's words represented his approval of them. As people with the divine dragon bloodline, they would not steal, rob, bully or humiliate others. As the rules set by the Dragon King, they would not violate them in the slightest. "Emojio, what happened?" Mo Qinglong looked at Emojio and asked immediately. "Leader, it's not a big deal. I can handle it myself." Because of his own matter, Emojio was a little embarrassed. Lowering his head, he said, "It's just that my kid was sparring with a classmate in the academy and injured him. The other party seemed to have some strength and severely injured my kid and sent him to the hospital." "This is still a small matter? He actually heavily injured Lei. Does he really think that we are easy to bully? Whoever makes a move will be repaid tenfold." Upon hearing his words, a cold expression appeared on Mo Qinglong's face. "Efusike Lei, that little fellow's talent is quite good. He actually dared to seriously injure my godson. Come, let's go and kill them." A Draconid beside him revealed a stern expression as he coldly shouted. The group of Draconids had experienced more than 10 years of fighting side by side and were already as close as brothers. Now that someone dared to attack their relatives, how could they let them off so easily? "There's no need. Now that the Dragon King has increased our strength, I can handle it with my own strength." Emojio shook his head. "3rd, 4th, 5th, 15th, 6th, you guys go with 9th to handle it. If there's any problem, immediately notify us." Mo Qinglong immediately ordered them. "It's leader. Go, someone actually dares to bully Happy. Let's go and cripple them." The 4 Draconids patted Emojio's shoulder and shouted with icy cold faces. Emojio revealed a trace of a smile on his face and nodded heavily. The group of 5 immediately walked out. Among us, only that brat Emojio married a girl from a neighboring province and had no choice but to settle down there. After this, let him come to River City. This will be more convenient. A Draconid saw them leaving and said with a smile. The rest of the Draconids nodded in agreement. "Do you know the biggest shopping mall in Jianghu City? Go buy some clothes for the two little guys." After Wang Xian walked out of the villa, he asked Yao Nu who was beside him. "I know. The Tian de Group Square is now the most famous square in every city. We can go there." Yao Nu nodded her head. "Let's go. I'll bring the two of you to buy new clothes." Wang Xian shook the two little guys on his body and said with a smile. New clothes, new clothes. The two little guys were obviously very happy. They looked around with their pure eyes and kept shouting. Tianfeng City was a city that had just been built not long ago. Even if it had just been built, Tianfeng City was much more prosperous than Jianghu City. Most importantly, Heavenly Wind City was built on an ancient land. The ancient land was called Heavenly Wind Ancient Land, an area covered by a green gale. In Heavenly Wind City, 5 or 6 powerful groups rose up because of Heavenly Wind Ancient Land. Moreover, a Heaven's Pride was born in Heavenly Wind Ancient Land, known as Heavenly Wind Heaven's Pride. Heavenly Wind Heaven's Pride was ranked 9th among all the Heaven's Pride, and had extremely powerful connections. The area of the Heavenly Wind Ancient Land was about 200 kilometers, while the area of the Heavenly Wind City was about 1,000 kilometers. The entire city was bustling with activity. Ninth brother, which hospital are you happy to be in now? In the sky, 5 draconids were flying towards the Heavenly Wind City at full speed. As they looked at the city below, Emo-san asked him. In the Central Hospital's intensive care unit. Emojio's expression was a little awkward. Although the current hospital had been completely reformed, the intensive care unit still represented that the injuries were extremely serious. Intensive care unit? Looks like Happy's injuries aren't light. Damn it. This time, no matter who the other party is, we have to teach them a lesson. We aren't so easy to bully. The draconids' faces were gloomy as they spoke with ice-cold expressions. We're here. Emojio looked down and immediately landed on the ground. He ran anxiously into the hospital. Brother Gio, you're finally here. Our son, he hasn't left the safe period yet. When they arrived at the ICU on the 13th floor of the hospital, a delicate and pretty woman pounced on them with a face full of tears as she cried out in grief. Sister-in-law. Sister-in-law. Demon 3, Demon 4, and the others shouted as they looked at Demon 9. Come, let's go in and take a look at Louis. Don't worry, Louis will be fine. Demon 9 patted his wife's shoulder as his gaze turned towards the parents-in-law in front of him. They walked directly towards the serious illness room. With the flourishing of their cultivation, the current serious illness room was no longer as closed as before. Are you the child's father? Your child suffered a heavy blow to the head and a heavy blow to the chest. There are no doctors in our hospital who can treat him, so we can only use pills to keep him alive. If you can't find a strong person to treat him, I'm afraid. A nurse in the intensive care unit was recording the situation as she spoke to Emojio and the others. Let's take a look. When Emojio saw that his breathing was weak and his son's vitality was weak, blue veins popped up on his face. He looked at his brothers and immediately walked over. Everything will be fine. The 4 draconids and Emojio walked over and placed their palms on Lu Yi's body. Damn it, who did this? Sister-in-law, where is the person who hurt him? Mo-15 sensed Happy's injuries and a trace of killing intent flashed in his eyes. He shouted with a vicious tone. It's the Sun family. I went to the school. The school said that the students would spar normally and were happy to break the other party's arm. In the end, the other party's parents came directly in the afternoon and were happy to be seriously injured. The school has shares of the Sun family. They said that there's nothing they can do. Let us settle it ourselves. Emojio's wife's parents were honest old men. Their eyes were red and their faces were full of anger as they spoke. Damn it. Emojio's eyes revealed killing intent. He had seriously injured his son and nearly killed him. This enmity was irreconcilable. Fuck what Sun family, old Gio, let's treat Happy first. We'll go and ask them for an explanation. A few draconids revealed cold expressions in their eyes. If it was before, they might be afraid of a powerful family group. But now, with the increase in strength and the presence of the Dragon King, they weren't afraid at all. We don't provoke people, but if someone bullies us, we'll pay them back tenfold. Draconids aren't afraid. Chapter 1845. 1845 Draconid Fearless 3. Brother Gio, forget it. It's enough as long as Happy is safe. We can't afford to offend the Sun family. When Emojio's wife heard her husband and his brother's words, she said anxiously, Little Gio, don't be rash. The most important thing now is to let Happy recover as soon as possible. These damn bastards, we shouldn't provoke them. Emojio's wife's parents also spoke with an embarrassed expression and sighed slightly. The Sun family, the Sun group in the Windy City. Although the Sun group's influence in the Windy City wasn't ranked among the top few, it wasn't something that ordinary families could compare to. In addition, it was rumored that the Sun family had been ranked in the Windy City group recently, so it wasn't something that they could contend against. Sister-in-law, uncle and aunt, don't worry, leave this matter to us. 15-6 and the others looked at each other, their faces revealing a trace of coldness. We'll treat Happy first. Yes. Emojio nodded, and waves of energy were injected into his son's body. If it was in the past, with his extraordinary strength, he wouldn't have been able to do anything to his son's current injuries. But now he could easily treat them. With the help of a few brothers, it wouldn't take long for him to completely heal. In the current academy, even if it was a child sparring, his arm or leg would be easily broken. The school would immediately heal him. The path of cultivation was filled with danger. Even if his arm was cut off, he could still reattach it, not to mention ordinary fractures. This time, his son was nearly beaten to death, causing Emojio's heart to be filled with anger. He could not swallow this anger. Oh, you guys actually managed to heal your injuries, what great strength. The nurse at the side saw that Lu Yi's expression was quickly recovering, and a surprised expression appeared on her face. Brother Jio. Emojio's wife also approached him with a face full of nervousness. It's all right, Lu Yi's injuries can be healed. Emojio consoled his wife. Soon Happy, who was lying on the hospital bed, called out in a low voice and slowly opened his eyes. Daddy. He looked at his father in front of him and called out softly. Daddy, uncle, grandparents. He then looked at the people beside him and called out obediently. All right, I've completely recovered. A smile appeared on Emo-san's face as he rubbed Happy's head. Get up. Emojio directly carried Happy down from the bed. Little Jio, Happy is just fine. When Emojio's parents-in-law saw Happy stand up, they immediately said with heartache. Dad, Mom, it's okay. Happy has completely recovered. Emojio said to them. Go Happy. Who hit you? Today Dad will make him pay tenfold. Emojio lowered his head and looked at his son, holding his hand as he said. Brother Jio, you. When Emojio's wife heard his words, her face instantly became nervous. Sister-in-law, don't be afraid. Leave it to us. Today, no matter who the other party is, we will pay a heavy price for this matter. 156 said firmly to her. You have a trace of the Divine Dragon's bloodline. You must remember, the possessor of the Divine Dragon's bloodline, we will not steal, rob, bully, or humiliate others. But if others bully us, we will definitely let them know the price. Emojio lowered his head to look at his son and said firmly, Yes, father. Happy to see his father's gaze, he nodded firmly. Ever since he was sensible, he had heard his father say more than once that he had an extraordinary bloodline. Since young, he had also displayed extraordinary talent in cultivation and had always been in the lead in the entire academy. He was very proud of this. Let's go. Emojio held his son's hand and walked out directly. The corners of the mouths of the 3 devils, 4 devils, and 15-6 devils curled up slightly as they followed closely behind. This. The expressions of Emojio's wife, father-in-law, and mother-in-law changed slightly. Father and mother, don't worry. Brother 9 said a few days ago that the Dragon King has returned. He went to pay his respects to the Dragon King early this morning. Emojio's wife's expression changed as she looked at her parents, who were a little pale, and said softly, Dragon King. The 2 of them were slightly shocked. Let's go, we'll follow little 9. The 2 old men immediately followed behind. He was very clear about the Dragon King. Even if they were once ordinary people, they had experienced that era and had also heard of the legend of the Dragon King. The Sun Group is located in the Eastern District. All the members of the Sun Group live in a row of villas by the river next to the group building. Lu Yi, what's the name of the person who beat you up? The group walked out of the hospital. Emo-san held his phone in his hand and searched for information one by one. He asked Lei. Uncle, it was Sun Jiahong's father who beat me up. Lei said weakly. It's the 4th son of the Sun Group, Sun Hu, who is known as the 4th master of the Sun Group. After Lei finished speaking, Emo-san immediately found the information. Let's go. We can go directly to the Sun Group. Okay. Emojio nodded, his eyes flashing with a cold luster. The Sun Group was a small group among the large groups in Heavenly Wind City. However, even if it was a small group, it was not something that ordinary people could afford to provoke. The Sun Group had 5 insightful Emptiness Realm experts overseeing it. They made a living by selling some of the resources in Heavenly Wind Ancient Land. 5 insightful Emptiness Realm experts were not considered weak in a city. The Sun Group's building was 40 stories high. It rose from the ground and was extremely magnificent. At the entrance of the group, a middle-aged man in a suit was patrolling, showing the dignity of the group. At this moment, at the front of the group building, 5 middle-aged men and a child were walking toward the building. Behind them, there were 2 old men and a delicate young woman. The group walked into the building and swept their eyes across the area before walking towards the front desk. "Hello, how can I help you?" The beauty at the front desk asked with a smile. "Call Sun Hu over," Emojio said with an ice-cold expression while holding the hand of Happy, who was standing in the middle. "Sorry, you need to make an appointment to see our CEO's son." The beauty at the front desk was slightly stunned as she said indifferently, "Sun Hu, get out here." However, just as the voice of the beauty behind the counter fell, MO16, who was at the side, slowly looked up. A voice instantly resounded throughout the entire building. "What are you guys doing? Security?" The beauty was slightly stunned as she hurriedly shouted with a gloomy face. Without him shouting, the surrounding middle-aged men in suits ran over and locked onto Emojoi and the others with ice-cold faces. "Huh?" At this moment, on the top floor of the building, a middle-aged man with a strong build was sitting in the room. Beside him, a young woman and a 10-year-old child were playing by the side. When the voice came from below, the middle-aged man was slightly stunned. "Hubby, what happened?" A young woman with an internet-famous face raised her head and asked with a frown. "I don't know who's looking for death. I'll go down and take a look." The middle-aged man with a strong back and a strong waist was Sun Hu, known as Sun Siyi. He walked out with a gloomy face. "Hubby will go with you." Chapter 1846. 1846 Draconid Fearless 4. Who are you? How dare you cause trouble in our Sun Corporation? Inside the Sun Corporation building, security guards dressed in suits ran in and instantly surrounded Emojio and the others. A middle-aged man waved his arm and a metal rod appeared in his hand. He stared at them coldly. "Dad. Brother Gio." The expression of his wife, who was happy to be with Emojio, changed slightly. She leaned closer to Emojio. "Leave it to us, brothers." Emo-san patted Emojio's shoulder and told him to stand still. His gaze swept over the 20-plus security guards around him and a disdainful expression appeared on his face. "Get Sun Hu to come out." Emo-san and the others took a step forward proudly and shouted coldly again. "You're courting death. You actually dare to let our 4th master come out. A bunch of trash, beat him up." The middle-aged man holding the metal rod revealed a cold expression as he gestured to the people beside him. "Our 4th master is also someone you can call him." The group of people instantly held the rod in their hands. Their eyes revealed a ruthless expression as they directly attacked them. In today's world, the strong ruled. As long as you were strong, you could kill anyone. In many cities, there were experts from the Lingxiao Treasured Palace maintaining order. If a massacre occurred, they would act to stop it. However, they would only stop it. They would not normally participate in it. Ping. A young man swung his club towards Emo-san. His face did not reveal the slightest fluctuation. He lightly clenched his arm and directly grabbed the young man's arm. Bang bang bang. He lightly waved the arm that was holding the young man. Ah. The sounds of collisions and screams rang out as more than 20 security guards fell to the ground. If Emo-san were to be ruthless, he would be able to easily kill these transcendent-level security guards. "Who's calling me?" At this moment, a rough voice rang out. The muscular Sun Hu walked out of the elevator with a hint of killing intent. Behind him, the young woman was leading a similarly muscular youth. "You're Sun Hu." Emojio looked at Sun Hu and narrowed his eyes slightly. "Who are you?" Sun Hu's cold gaze swept past Emojio and looked at the security guards who were lying on the ground. "Dad, it's that little bastard." Just as he finished speaking, the muscular youth's words sounded behind him. He extended his finger and pointed at Lui, his face filled with ruthlessness. "Oh." Sun Hu looked over, his face revealing a trace of surprise. "You bastard, you haven't died yet? You've actually recovered so quickly?" Sun Hu, a child is sparring at school but you, an adult, actually made a move and almost killed my son. Emojio's face revealed a trace of killing intent when he heard his words. A child is a child's business, an adult is an adult's business. You've gone too far. Ha, so you're this dog's father? What? Did you bring your son here to ask for a beating? Sun Hu looked at Emojio, his face revealing a disdainful smile. He knew that the child's family that he had beaten was just an ordinary family. Even before the Earth's metamorphosis, with his energy he could just beat them up. Not to mention now. His Sun family was not very clean in the past. After the Earth's metamorphosis, they obtained some small opportunities and quickly established themselves in Heavenly Wind City. Not long ago, his little sister was listed in the Heavenly Wind group. This made him even more unscrupulous in Heavenly Wind City. Other than the people from the Ling Shao treasured palace, he did not dare to provoke anyone else in this territory. I'm glad that I almost died in your hands. Next, if you can last 5 seconds in my hands, I'll let bygones be bygones. Emojio slowly let go of Happy's arm and walked towards Sun Hu. Ha, I think you're courting death. Sun Hu revealed a funny expression and could not help but laugh out loud. Fourth brother, what's wrong? At this moment, a group of people walked out of the elevator once again. A middle-aged man who looked similar to him looked over and asked indifferently. Ha, second brother, it's a small matter. If someone wants to die, I'll give them 10%. Sun Hu laughed out loud as if he didn't care at all. As he spoke, he also slowly walked towards Emojio. I might be a little lenient towards a little thing, but you? He opened his mouth, revealing his dense teeth as he clenched his huge fist. Die for me, you actually dare to come to our Sun group and seek death. As he spoke, he raised his fist and attacked Emojio, his face filled with ruthlessness. 1. Emojio looked at the attacking Sun Hu with a calm expression as he lightly counted. Peng. Ah. When Sun Hu's fist came to Emojio's side, he lightly clenched it and his arm shook. The sound of bones breaking instantly sounded. Go and die. Feeling the immense pain on his arm, Sun Hu's expression changed drastically. He knew that he had encountered an expert. Boom. His body shook, and the pressure of an insightful emptiness realm expert rushed out in all directions. Behind him, the shadow of a fierce tiger slowly condensed. Divine ability Tiger Roar. He roared, and the 5-meter-long fierce tiger behind him stared at Emojio coldly. 2. Emojio's extremely calm voice rang out again. He pulled lightly, and Sun Hu's body rushed toward him, giving him a rib attack. Crack, crack, crack. The sound of his chest breaking rang out, and the fierce tiger behind him instantly dissipated. Pooh. A large mouthful of blood was spat out from his mouth. 3. At this moment the sound rang out once more. Emojio lifted his right leg lightly, and it landed on his left leg. Ka ka ka. The sound of his left leg breaking rang out once more. Ah. The incomparably painful screams continued to ring out. Damn it, stop right there. Sun Hu's second brother saw his younger brother's miserable state, and his expression changed drastically. Sun Hu was an expert at the profound void tier, yet he was actually unable to put up any resistance in the other party's hands. He knew that his younger brother had encountered a tough opponent. His figure moved and a large saber appeared in his hand. He was prepared to make a move. 1. Right at this moment, an ice-cold gaze locked onto him, causing his expression to change slightly. He turned his head and looked ahead. He saw a middle-aged man staring at him indifferently. Oh no. His expression changed slightly. 4. Ka ka ka. Ah ah. At this moment, the cold sound of bones breaking and screams came from ahead again. Both legs were broken. 5. Ah. The voice continued to ring out. Sun Hu's right arm was directly broken. You bunch of damn bastards, let go of my husband, let go. Behind him, Sun Hu's wife was like a shrew as she ran towards Emojio with a ferocious expression. She stretched out her claws and a poisonous green color appeared on them. I don't teach my parents sins. I don't like to torture women, so. Behind them, Mo15 saw the poison on the shrew's claws, and a cold glint flashed in his eyes. He waved his arm and a terrifying demonic aura directly landed on her chest. Peng. Her entire body flew backwards and landed beside their child. Her eyes were wide open but there was no sound at all. Chapter 1847. 1847 Draconid Fearless 5. Wow, mom, dad. A cry filled with fear rang out. The robust youth looked at his former mother's corpse with a terrified expression on his face. The youth who was a little ferocious earlier was now trembling. What? How dare you? Son whose second brother saw his former sister-in-law's corpse and his pupils constricted. A shocked expression appeared on his face. 6. Bang crack. Several calm sounds continued to be heard from the area in front, followed by the sound of bones breaking. You guys. At this moment, Son whose face was filled with fear. He glanced to the side and listened to his son's cries. His body began to tremble. 7. Bang. 8. Bang. Son whose body trembled more and more violently. His eyes were filled with despair. At this moment he couldn't even open his mouth. There wasn't a part of his body that wasn't pink. He could feel that his life force was rapidly disappearing. Looking at the incomparably calm middle-aged man in front of him, he was filled with disbelief. According to his understanding, the kid he beat up was only from an ordinary family. Why did his father have such terrifying strength? If he knew, how could he still dare to beat up that little thing to the point of death? Stop. At this moment, second brother Son who was at the back, saw his younger brother who was about to be beaten to death. His face was filled with fury and he couldn't help but rush over. He held the large saber in his hand and directly slashed towards Emogio. You're courting death. At the front, Mo15's figure came to a halt. Son whose second brother flew backwards at an even faster speed. Bang. Their bodies landed on the wall and directly smashed through the wall. They stared at the calm Mo15 with a face full of shock. How is this possible? Your strength. The middle-aged man looked at Mo15 in shock. His face was filled with disbelief. This time they had met an existence that they could not fight against. Gio? Pooh. At this moment that cold voice sounded again. He endured the intense pain in his body and looked up. At this moment his second brother was like a puddle of soft mud. Blood kept spurting out of his mouth. He died before 10 seconds had even passed. Emogio's voice sounded once again. He looked at Son who in his hand and with a casual wave of his hand, he landed in front of the youth. Father. At this moment, the youth had completely collapsed, kneeling on the ground and crying out in pain. Since you are a child, I'll spare your life. Or even now. Emogio looked at the youth and said coldly. After saying that, he turned his head and looked at his son. We don't bully others, but if someone bullies us, we will pay them back tenfold. The calm voice in Lu Yi's mind caused his eyes to be filled with worship. Some people really think that we are easy to bully. Let's go. Moc smiled coldly. If the Dragon King had not returned, even if Lu Yi had not died, he would have suffered injuries and might even have died. 10 times the payback, killing 2 people was considered light. Back then the Dragon Queen was seriously injured, and the Dragon King had almost massacred half of the Jianghu. At that time it was the Draconids who had done it. They had been living a low-key life for more than 10 years, and with their strength they really could not be high-profile. But now that the Dragon King had returned, they might not be as aggressive as before, but if anyone dared to provoke them, the Draconids, naturally wouldn't show any mercy. Although the Dragon Gate was disbanded, the people with the divine dragon bloodline were still there. They're so strong, so strong. Sun Sai is an expert at the profound void realm, yet he doesn't have the strength to resist at all. He came here and directly killed Sun Sai and left. Who are they? A shocked voice came from the surroundings. The Sun Group security guards and the front desk staff all had frightened expressions on their faces. Fourth Master Sun was also a figure in Heavenly Wind City. He was killed so easily. Ching go. Emogio once again held his son's hand and held his wife's shoulders as he said gently. He looked at his in-laws and faintly nodded. Go. The 2 old men vented the anger in their hearts and smiled. If you want to take revenge, we will accept it at any time. But if you dare to play some tricks, the next time, we will flatten your Sun Group. Mo-san's gaze swept across the surroundings and his cold voice entered everyone's ears. You. Sun Xiong, who was slowly standing up from the ground, stood up with an ugly expression. When he saw the corpses on the ground, his expression turned cold. Emogio and his group walked out indifferently. Hua hua hua. However, just as they walked out of the entrance of the building, luxurious cars suddenly drove over. The 4 latest Audi models in front could withstand the attacks of experts below the profound void tier. The 3 Rolls-Royces in the center were the latest models that could withstand the attacks of powerhouses below the void interpretation stage level 5. The Rolls-Royce in the center was a 15-meter-long extended version. At the back there were Audi cars that were exactly the same as the first 4. Luxury cars, real luxury cars. Even if they were placed on Earth today, they were still luxury cars that only the rich could afford. The car stopped. Bodyguards in black suits walked out of the Audi in front of them. They quickly ran to open the doors of the Rolls-Royce. An old man with a walking stick with a dragon head walked out. The old man walked to the Rolls-Royce in the center and greeted the middle-aged men inside with slight respect. The middle-aged men walked down with smiles on their faces. The group of them walked towards the Sun Corporation. The old man with a walking stick was slightly surprised when he saw Mo and the others walking out. His eyes looked towards the building. This bunch of brats, why aren't they coming out to welcome us? The old man looked towards the direction of the building. When he saw that his sons didn't come out to welcome them, his face revealed anger and he shouted with full confidence. Father. At this moment, Sun Xiong, who was standing in the building with an embarrassed expression, changed his expression and hurriedly walked out. Father, 4th brother was killed. 4th brother was killed by them. Sun Xiong's entire body was in an extremely miserable state. There was a pool of blood that was spat out from his chest as he roared angrily. What? The old man who was laughing and chatting with the middle-aged men beside him changed his expression when he heard the voice coming from the building. He looked over and saw his second son who was in a sorry state. His gaze then turned towards the center of the building. In an instant, his eyes turned red. The most painful thing for a person was no different from sending someone else off. Oh. The people beside the old man also frowned slightly. They killed him. Suppressing his violent anger, the old man holding the dragon-headed walking stick pointed at Mo and the others who were walking outside. It's father, it's them, they are very powerful. Sun Xiong immediately replied loudly. They dare to kill my son Ritian's son, I will exterminate his entire clan. Surround them. A furious voice filled with killing intent sounded from Sun Xiong's mouth. Chapter 1848. 1848, a single hair and a sword. At the entrance of the Sun Corporation building. When one luxurious car after another drove over here, they had already attracted the attention of the surrounding people. Mo and the others walked out indifferently. You dare to kill my son Lai Tian's son, I will exterminate his entire clan. Surround them. When Sun Lai Tian's violent voice sounded, the surrounding people revealed shocked expressions. Brother Jiao. Little Jiao. Mo's wife and parents-in-law's eyes revealed fear when they heard this. They looked at him worriedly. You don't know life from death. Leave it to us. Mo-san and the others revealed killing intent in their eyes. Surround them. Hua hua hua. At this moment, the surrounding bodyguards in black suits surrounded them. Their bodies emitted a powerful aura. Of course, this power was only seen by ordinary people on Earth. A group of transcendent level 8, 9, and peak experts surrounded them in the center. Mo-san and the others swept their gaze across the group, revealing contemptuous expressions. Brother Zhou, everyone is sorry. I have to settle some matters first. Sun Lai Tian's arm trembled as he held onto the dragon-headed walking stick. His eyes were slightly red as he spoke to the others and he slowly turned around. His slightly red eyes were filled with killing intent. Father, their strength is very strong. It should be above the 7th or 8th level of the profound void martial stage, or even higher. Sun Xiong came to his father's side and said in a low voice with an embarrassed and solemn expression. Above the 7th or 8th level of the profound void martial stage. Sun Lai Tian's body trembled, and a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. The violent aura just now had decreased rapidly. If it really was above the 7th or 8th level of the profound void tier, then it was completely not something their Sun group could deal with. Wanting to take revenge was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. How could Xiaohu provoke such an existence? I thought you were strong. Since you dare to say such arrogant words, I'll give you all 5 seconds to step aside. Otherwise all of you will die. Right at this moment, Mo-san's voice sounded, and waves of powerful aura were emitted from his body. The powerful pressure caused the expressions of the surrounding bodyguards to change drastically, revealing a terrified expression. Mo-san swept his gaze across all of them, and his eyes revealed a look of disdain. They had thought that they would be experts, but they were just a few 5th-level profound void tier elders. Want to destroy them? What a joke. I wonder, everyone, what grudge does Sun Lai Tian's son who have with all of you for you to kill him? Sun Lai Tian's expression changed. When he heard Mo-san's words, his expression darkened. He suppressed the anger in his heart and asked in a low voice. Hee, that reckless thing almost killed our nephew. We have already given you a way out by not exterminating your entire clan. Don't be ungrateful. Mo-san said coldly to Sun Lai Tian, filled with disdain. He still wanted to exterminate their entire clan. What a joke. Mo-san's strength made Sun Lai Tian's face extremely gloomy. His body trembled as he stared at Mo-san and the others. What happened? It seems that those few people came to the Sun Group building and killed Sun Siyi. What? Sun Siyi was killed? Didn't Elder Sun want to fight them to the death? That group of people seems to be very strong. Look, the bodyguards of the Sun Group are trembling. When the people around saw what happened to the Sun Group, they were shocked and started discussing. In the eyes of ordinary people, the Sun Group was also considered a wealthy family. At the main entrance of the Sun Group, Sun Lai Tian accompanied the middle-aged man who came in. When he saw this scene, he frowned slightly. At least 7th or 8th level of the profound void tier, the Sun Group has encountered an expert. When did these experts appear in our heavenly wind city? Should we step out? The middle-aged men whispered to each other. 5 seconds have passed, aren't you going to step aside? Mo-san looked at the gloomy Sun Lai Tian and lost his patience. He glanced at the surrounding bodyguards and said coldly. Gulp. All the bodyguards felt Mo-san's imposing manner and beads of sweat appeared on their foreheads. However, they could only clench their fists and stare at them since they didn't hear the order. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Puff, puff, puff. Another 5 seconds passed. This time, a trace of killing intent flashed in Mo-san's eyes as he waved his devil flames around. Ah! Miserable shrieks rang out as more than 10 bodyguards were instantly killed by Mo-san's attacks. Do you really think that we are ants? You can step on us if you want to. Do you really think that we don't have any dignity? Boom. Mo-san's powerful aura directly covered Sun Lai Tian. It was filled with a brutal and violent aura, causing Sun Lai Tian's face to instantly turn pale. What? His expression changed drastically, and a trace of fear flashed through his eyes. Every expert had their dignity, and it wasn't something that a weakling could provoke at will, especially someone like Sun Lai Tian. If he didn't have the strength and still didn't allow others to move aside, he was simply courting death. When everyone around saw this scene, their faces revealed shock. The Sun Group today would probably lose face. In-laws brother Zhou. When Sun Lai Tian saw the incomparably powerful Mo-san and the others, his eyes turned blood red. His youngest son had been killed, yet the murderer was still so domineering and disdainful, causing his breathing to become somewhat hurried. He looked at the middle-aged man behind him, clenched his fist and shouted in a low voice. Brother Sun, even our Heavenly Wind group has to be wary of a 7th or 8th level void interpretation expert. The old man in the middle said slowly with an expressionless face. At least a 7th or 8th level void interpretation expert. If their Tianfeng Corporation wanted to deal with them, they had to be cautious. Moreover, they did not know the other party's background. Brother Zhou, if you are willing to take action, I will give you 8 portions of the things in the Tianfeng ancient land. Sun Lai Tian gritted his teeth and said with a malevolent expression. His Sun clan had found a treasure ground in the Tianfeng ancient land. After the Tianfeng clan found out about it, in order to obtain 3 portions, they agreed to a marriage alliance with the Sun clan and promised many benefits. Taking out this condition made Sun Lai Tian's heart ache. 8 portions. The eyes of the old man in the center shone with a fiery glow as he exchanged glances with the middle-aged men beside him. Uncle, with what we obtained in the Tianfeng ancient land, even a peak of the profound void martial stage can deal with it. It's worth it. Moreover, there's still young Master Tianfeng. The middle-aged men nodded their heads with interest. The old man in the center also nodded his head silently. The Sun family is the in-laws of our Tianfeng group. If someone kills our in-laws, our Tianfeng group cannot sit idly by. I am Zhou Hongyun of the Tianfeng Corporation. Whoever killed the son of our in-laws just now is here to commit suicide. The old man in the center, Zhou Hongyun, slowly walked out and stared at Mo Sani and the others as he said proudly. Tianfeng Corporation was the largest corporation in Tianfeng City. Even in the entire East, it was a powerful corporation that could rank in the top 15. Chapter 1849. 1849 1849, one hair, one sword. The Sun Group might not have the right to make them pay with their lives when facing a 7th or 8th level insightful void martial artist. However, the Tianfeng Group had this strength and they also had this qualification. Zhou Hongyun? The number 3 figure of the Tianfeng Group, I didn't expect him to be here. The people of the Tianfeng Group are also here. It seems that the marriage between the Sun Group and the Tianfeng Group is a fact. With the Tianfeng Group standing up for the Sun family, those people are unlucky. The number 3 figure of the Tianfeng Group, Director Zhou, has the strength of a 7th level profound void martial artist, and the entire Tianfeng Group has 70 to 80 profound void martial artists. Most importantly, Tianfeng Tianjiao is here. The Tianfeng Group, which has more than 10,000 subordinates and 70 to 80 people, is an overlord-level existence. Even if the other party has a 7th or 8th level profound void martial artist, they are going to fall. Just when everyone thought that the Sun Corporation would lose face this time, a voice suddenly appeared, causing their faces to reveal a shocked expression. When they looked at the meticulously combed back hair of the old man, their faces revealed a reverent expression. The number 3 figure of the Heavenly Wind Corporation held great power and possessed great strength. Heavenly Wind Corporation not good. What about little Jiao and little Jiao? When Mo Jiao's parents-in-law saw Zhou Hongyun, they revealed a frightened expression and said in a daze. The Heavenly Wind Corporation was like thunder in the entire Heavenly Wind City. They were like a huge mountain, overlooking the entire Heavenly Wind City. Parents-in-law, don't worry. Mo Jiao also slightly frowned. Living in Heavenly Wind City, he naturally knew the Heavenly Wind Corporation's strength very well. Heavenly Wind Corporation, I didn't expect the Heavenly Wind Corporation to interfere. Are you afraid of them? Tiske, their strongest Heavenly Wind prodigy is only at the peak of the profound void martial stage. Standing in front, Mo-san had naturally heard of the Heavenly Wind Corporation's name. If it was in the past, they wouldn't dare to offend them. But now, even if they were facing the 9th-ranked Heavenly Wind prodigy, they weren't afraid at all. Your Tianfeng Corporation wants to keep us here. Mo-san looked at Zhou Hongyun, his eyes flickering with a sinister expression. It's only right and proper to kill someone to pay for their life. In front of our Tianfeng Corporation, you'd better surrender. Zhou Hongyun's face revealed a faint smile. Die, you dare to kill my son, Sunlighten, I'll cut you into 1,000 pieces. From the side, when he saw the Tianfeng Corporation attack, a ferocious expression appeared on his face. If you want to kill us, go to hell. Facing the high and mighty Tianfeng Corporation, Mosan also went berserk. Did they really think that they were easy to bully? Roar! With a wave of his arm, violent dark energy surged, and in an instant, a 1,000-meter-wide dark dragon head condensed. The dark dragon head let out a roar and directly attacked Zhou Hongyun and the rest of the Tianfeng Corporation. You don't know death. Zhou Hongyun's face turned cold, and with a shake of his arm, 5 green sharp swords appeared behind him. With a wave of his arm, the sharp swords brought along wind blades the size of 1,000 meters, and went to meet the dark dragon head. Oh no, let's fight, let's retreat quickly. The destructive power of the profound void tier is extremely terrifying. Retreat. Retreat. When the surrounding spectators saw the sudden outbreak of the battle, their expressions changed slightly and they hurriedly retreated. Ping ping ping. Oh no. However, in the middle of the battle, when Zhou Hongyun's 5 green longswords collided with the head of the dark dragon, they immediately collapsed, causing his expression to change drastically. Peak of the profound void martial stage, he's an expert at the peak of the profound void martial stage. Jin Hongyun felt the power coming from above, and his pupils constricted slightly. Dodge his attack, send out a distress signal immediately. He hurriedly roared loudly and his body moved, hurriedly dodging to the side. What? The expressions of the Heavenly Wind Corporation experts around him changed drastically. Damn it, the peak of the insightful emptiness realm is actually the peak of the insightful emptiness realm. So. A middle-aged man hurriedly took out a signal flare and threw it into the sky. The signal flare instantly shot into the sky and stood clearly in the sky 10,000 meters high. Everyone in Heavenly Wind City could see it clearly. It was the Heavenly Wind Corporation's unique distress signal. Boom. Ah. The attack of the Dark Dragon head landed in front of the Sun Family building. Several middle-aged men of the Heavenly Wind Corporation who didn't have time to dodge let out a scream and died instantly. The ground began to shake, and a deep pit the size of 1,000 meters appeared in front of the building. How is this possible? When Sun Lai Tian saw this terrifying attack, his scalp went numb, and a terrified expression appeared on his face as he roared crazily. I didn't expect it to be an expert at the peak of the profound void martial stage. Sun Lai Tian, the Heavenly Wind Ancient Lands item, our Heavenly Wind Corporation wants 9 portions. So what if it's an expert at the peak of the profound void martial stage? If he dares to oppose our Heavenly Wind Corporation, he will die. Zhou Hongyun looked over and also let out an angry roar. He took out a stone plate from his interspatial ring with a pained expression. On the stone plate, there were more than a dozen green longswords. With a toss of his hand, one green longsword after another flew out and attacked Emo-san and the others. The stone plate looked very extraordinary. More than a dozen green longswords quickly formed a sword formation and floated around Emo-san and the others. Zhou Hongyun originally thought that the other party was only a profound void tier level 7 or 8 expert. He could easily kill him with the treasures he obtained in the Heavenly Wind Ancient Land. However, he didn't expect that his opponent was at the peak of the profound void martial stage. However, even if he was at the peak of the profound void martial stage, he could still kill them with the treasures in his hands. However, it wasn't what the Heavenly Wind Group wanted to see him become the enemy of a peak of the profound void martial stage. Since we are enemies, let's get rid of them once and for all. Zhou Hongyun waved his arm, and the 18 sharp swords burst out with a terrifying sharpness as they attacked Emo-san and the others. What powerful weapons they can actually attack on their own. Emo-san felt the sharpness of the 18 sharp swords, and his face revealed a look of surprise. Together. Good. He lightly shouted, and the 4 devils, 15 devils, and 16 beside him immediately responded. Boom boom boom. In an instant, 3 incomparably terrifying auras came from their bodies. Attack. Their bodies were emitting terrifying demonic chi as they attacked the 18 sharp swords. Another 3 black dragon heads let out earth-shaking roars. What? 4 peak of the profound void martial stage. Zhou Hongwei's shocked voice came from his mouth, and his face was filled with disbelief. Oh no, 4 peak of the profound void martial stage, how is this possible? The other middle-aged men of the Tianfeng Corporation were also shocked, and fear appeared in their eyes. The surrounding spectators were also shocked. 4 experts at the peak of the profound void martial stage were enough to destroy Tianfeng City. Everyone was shocked. Peng peng peng. 18 sharp swords flew in all directions under the attacks of Emo-san and the others. The violent aura and monstrous demonic chi caused the hearts of everyone in the Skywind Corporation to sink. They had kicked an iron plate. If this was not handled properly, it would be a devastating disaster for the Skywind Corporation. Chapter 1850. 1850 1850 A hair and a sword 3. At the entrance of the Sun Corporation building, the sound of a violent battle could be heard. The 4 experts at the peak of the profound void martial stage shocked everyone around them. However, at this moment, the signal flare of the Tianfeng Corporation in the sky attracted everyone's attention. Located at the top of Tianfeng City, the Tianfeng Corporation building, which occupied an area of over 10,000 square meters, was the landmark of the entire city. On the top floor of the Tianfeng mansion, there was an extremely luxurious hanging garden which was extremely luxurious. May I know why the seniors are looking for me? In the hanging garden, a tall and slender young man with handsome features stood in front of the crowd. The young man was dressed in white and the words Tianfeng were written on his chest. The hundreds of people standing in front of him wore golden armor, and each of them contained a majestic power. It's really surprising that they came to investigate some things. The outside world thought that Tianfeng Tianjiao only had the strength of the peak of the insightful Void Realm, but they didn't expect. The middle-aged man in the lead looked at Tianfeng Tianjiao in surprise. What? Tianfeng Tianjiao was shocked, and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. He immediately said respectfully, Shui Tianjiao's discerning eyes saw through this kid's cultivation with one look. With Tianfeng Tianjiao's strength, he can totally join the Lingxiao treasure hall. The leader, Shui Tianjiao, said indifferently to Tianfeng. Join the Lingxiao treasure hall. Tianfeng was slightly stunned, and then a hesitant look appeared on his face. Joining the Lingxiao treasure hall had great benefits, but there were also bad things. With his previous strength, he could also join the Lingxiao treasure hall, but he didn't join. The fifth divine sun has fallen. With your strength, if you join the Lingxiao treasure hall, you should be able to get his position. Shui Tianjiang said with a smile. What? Tianfeng Tianjiao's face shook, and a burning look flashed in his eyes. The position of divine sun. There were only 10 divine suns in the Lingxiao treasure hall. If one wanted to become a divine sun, he had to defeat the divine suns on the god ceiling list. Those who could become the divine sons of the Lingxiao treasured palace were all terrifyingly powerful. They had the best weapons, the best resources, and even the strength to challenge people of a higher level. Even though he had secretly made a breakthrough in his strength, he had never thought about the position of divine sun because he was afraid of unforeseen circumstances. If he joined the Lingxiao treasured palace, the gains would not be worth the losses. Now, the heavenly general of the heavenly troops and generals of the Lingxiao treasured palace had invited him and said that he could obtain the position of the divine sun. This made him extremely excited. It was good to enjoy the shade under the big tree. Under the big tree of the Lingxiao treasured palace, as long as there were no special circumstances, it would be very difficult for the divine sun to die. High and mighty. Heavenly General Shui, is what you said true? Tianfeng Tianjiao asked somewhat excitedly. There will be a huge change on Earth, and the number of divine suns will increase by 10. You have my recommendation, and with the death of the fifth divine sun and your own strength, you can skip the test. It's 100%, right? Tianfeng Shui nodded with a smile and looked at a middle-aged man beside him. Follow Tianfeng Tianjiao and protect his safety. Also, if Tianfeng Tianjiao wants to go to the Lingxiao treasured palace, bring him there. Yes, Heavenly General. The middle-aged man next to him immediately nodded and replied. Thank you, General Shui, for your kindness. Zhou Tianfeng will definitely repay you heavily in the future. Zhou Tianfeng's face was filled with excitement as he bowed his body, his eyes burning with passion. No need to thank me. With your strength and talent, you are worthy of my friendship. Shui Tianjiang said with a smile. Zhou Tianfeng stood up excitedly. At this moment he saw the signal flare that belonged to the Tianfeng Corporation on the right side rise up, striking the sky. This caused him to frown slightly. The signal flare was usually released when the upper echelons of the Tianfeng Corporation encountered a crisis. Shui Tianjiang, I have some matters that I might need to take care of. Zhou Tianfeng looked at the signal flare and said. Sure, we have a mission too. General Shui Tianfeng nodded. Zhou Tianfeng bowed and flew toward the signal flare. The middle-aged heavenly soldier followed behind him. This made Zhou Tianfeng's eyes burn. This was a first-level demigod heavenly soldier. Only true divine sons had demigod-level guards to protect them. Although he didn't need a first-level demigod to protect him with his strength, this was a symbol of his status. Someone dares to provoke my Tianfeng Corporation in Tianfeng City? He doesn't know death. Zhou Tianfeng looked in the direction of the Sun Corporation's building with a hint of disdain in his eyes. Go to hell, what bullshit Tianfeng Corporation. At this moment, a violent sound came from the front, and terrifying demonic flames soared into the sky. Demonic snakes rolled in the sky, covering an area of more than 10 kilometers. An attack from the peak of the profound void martial stage. Zhou Tianfeng's expression changed slightly when he saw the terrifying attack in front of him. Tianfeng genius, do you want me to take action? Right at this moment, Tianbing's voice came from the side. No need. Hearing his words, a wanton smile appeared on Zhou Tianfeng's face. Ever since I broke through, I've been concealing my strength. Today I'll let everyone witness it. An excited expression appeared on his face. He opened his palm and a green box appeared in his hand. He opened the box and there was a green sharp sword the size of a finger inside. Heaven sword sealed box, heaven sword hidden edge. Zhou Tianfeng flicked it lightly, and the two sharp swords inside directly attacked the rampaging demon snake in the sky. Whoosh, whoosh. The two sharp swords flew out and rapidly enlarged, and in the blink of an eye, they arrived above the rampaging demon snake in the sky. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sharp edge that tore through the air directly cut off the heads of the demon snakes one by one, and the darkness slowly dissipated. At this moment, in front of the Sun Group building, Demon 3, Demon 4, and 156, 4 felt the demon chi in the sky dissipate, and their expressions changed slightly. In front of them, Zhou Hongyun, the Tianfeng Group, Sun Lai Tian, and the others watched with pale faces and despair. For experts at the peak of the profound void martial stage, even the treasures in Zhou Hongyun's hands could not withstand them. What awaited them was the fury of those at the peak of the profound void martial stage. Just when they thought that the monstrous demonic snake would kill them, the demonic chi suddenly dissipated, causing them to be slightly shocked. It's Tianfeng. Tianfeng is here. Young Master Tianfeng is here. Everyone from the Tianfeng Corporation was excited when they saw Zhou Tianfeng. Tianfeng Tianjiao is here, the 9th ranked on the prodigy roll. Those 4 middle-aged men are too terrifying. They are all at the peak of the profound void martial stage. Even Tianfeng Tianjiao is no match for them. Everyone who was watching the battle was shocked. Seeing the appearance of the Tianfeng prodigy, everyone started discussing. Zhou Tianfeng's arrival might not be able to change the current situation. They had provoked 4 experts at the peak of the profound void martial stage this time. The 9th ranked prodigy? Emo-san and the others raised their heads and looked over. Their eyes revealed a grave expression. The 2 sharp swords of the opponent had easily broken their attack, causing them to instantly sense it. This Tianfeng proud son of heaven, strength is very terrifying. Chapter 1851. 1851. A single hair and a sword 4. This Tianfeng prodigy is probably much stronger than the rumors. Emo-san reminded the Draconids beside him in a low voice. The Draconids nodded and stared solemnly at Zhou Tianfeng, their eyes shining. Tianfeng. At this moment, in front of them, a group of people from the Tianfeng Corporation hurriedly flew into the sky. Zhou Hongyun didn't even care about the sharp swords scattered around him as he flew over in fear. What's going on? Zhou Tianfeng glanced at Emo-sanyi and the others below and asked indifferently. Tianfeng, they killed Elder Sun's son. We wanted to avenge them, but we didn't expect that they were 4 experts at the peak of the profound void martial stage. Zhou Hongyun came to Zhou Tianfeng's side and lowered his head with an extremely embarrassed expression. Tianfeng, we are in big trouble. The 4 experts at the peak of the profound void martial stage were not something they could fight against. South. At this moment, the members of the Tianfeng group rushed over from all directions. The signal flares in the sky caused all the members of the Tianfeng group to gather in this direction. Young Master, Director Zhou. Who dares to provoke our Heavenly Wind Corporation? When the members saw them, they immediately flew over and shouted respectfully behind them. Their gazes landed on the positions below and on the eye-catching Emo-sanyi and the others. 4 peak of the profound void martial stage. When Zhou Tianfeng heard Zhou Hongyun's terrified voice, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. What? 4 experts at the peak of the profound void martial stage? When the members of the Tianfeng group behind him heard Zhou Hongyun's words, they were slightly shocked, and their aggressive aura instantly fell. Tianfeng, we are not their match, think of a way. Zhou Hongyun continued, but before he could finish his words, Zhou Tianfeng waved his hand and interrupted him. 4 experts at the peak of the profound void martial stage with such strength, I wonder what faction you guys are from. Zhou Tianfeng's body moved and landed on the ground, sizing up Emo-san and the others. Tianfeng prodigy, it seems like you are much stronger than the rumors. Emo-san and the others stared at Zhou Tianfeng warily and said lightly. Haha, then you guys kneel down. Zhou Tianfeng laughed out loud. He was in a great mood as his body trembled. An incomparably powerful pressure swept downwards. Boom, boom, boom. Like a powerful air wave, the rocks that had been shattered by the battle earlier flew towards the surroundings. The incomparably terrifying aura caused the expressions of Mo-san and the others below to change slightly. Including Mo-jio, the 5 of them hurriedly waved their arms, and waves of demonic chi blocked the position in the sky. Mo-jio's family members huddled together nervously. Oh, Tianfeng's strength? Young Master's strength? Has he broken through? Above them, everyone in the Tianfeng Corporation felt Tianfeng Qianjiao's aura. They were slightly stunned and their bodies trembled. Zhou Hongyun and the others stared down with burning eyes, extremely excited. If he had broken through. So what if he was at the peak of the profound void martial stage? What? Tianfeng Qianjiao broke through? First level demigod? Doesn't that mean he can be ranked in the top 3 of the prodigy role? This is so powerful. I thought Tianfeng Corporation would be defeated this time. I didn't expect Tianfeng Qianjiao to have already broken through. He deserves to be called the son of fate. At this moment, hundreds of thousands of people had gathered around. When they saw the invincible Tianfeng Qianjiao, their faces were filled with shock. They thought that the Tianfeng Corporation would be in big trouble today, but they didn't expect Tianfeng Qianjiao to come with an invincible appearance. If Tianfeng Qianjiao broke through, then his strength would reach the demigod level. First level demigod. Mo Sanyi and the others had extremely serious expressions on their faces as they stared at Zhou Tianfeng. Haha, you guys are very strong, but it's a pity that you met me. I don't care what the reason is. Since you dare to attack the members of my Tianfeng group, you all have to stay here today. Zhou Tianfeng laughed loudly, and his face revealed an extremely strong confidence. He had an imposing bearing, was in high spirits, and had a lofty horn on his head. After becoming a divine son, he would be like a star on earth. Oh no, MOC, contact the leader. Mo-san looked at the powerful Zhou Tianfeng and frowned. Yes. MOC nodded and took out his phone to send a message to Mo Qinglong and the others. The intervention of the Tianfeng Corporation, the appearance of the Tianfeng prodigy, and his breakthrough had completely exceeded their expectations. Oh, go and inform someone to save you? I want to see who can save you today. Even if the number 1 prodigy comes, you have to stay here. I also want to see what kind of force you are. You actually have 4 experts at the peak of the profound void martial stage. Seeing that MOC was asking for help, Zhou Tianfeng revealed a mocking smile and didn't stop him. If it was in the past, he would have killed him directly. But now, not only did he not make a move, he even allowed them to ask for help. Today he wanted to let everyone know his strength. He wanted to let everyone know that he, Zhou Tianfeng, was about to become a divine son. No matter how powerful your background was, how could you be comparable to the Lingxiao treasured palace? He wanted to create momentum. He wanted to kill the other party's rescuers when they arrived and show his invincibility. Hiss this. Tianfeng Qianjiao is so confident. Is he trying to establish his dominance? Or is he trying to get rid of the people below and the faction behind them once and for all? Standing in the void and not stopping them from asking for help? How confident is he? Invincible, truly invincible. More and more people were watching. When they heard Tianfeng Qianjiao's words, their faces were filled with astonishment. This move was truly shocking. How confident and invincible he was to wait for the other party to call people over. Accumulating prestige. The heavenly soldier behind Tianfeng Qianjiao also revealed an expression of admiration and respect when he saw his actions. This move could greatly increase his prestige. After becoming a divine son, his future is limitless. I have to curry favor with him. The middle-aged heavenly soldier thought to himself. He was already several thousand years old, and his future was hopeless. Even the heavenly generals wanted to curry favor with a divine son with such great potential. He naturally knew what to do. Oh, he doesn't put us in his eyes at all. Below, Mo-san saw Tianfeng Qianjiao looking down at them and slightly raised his brows. This is just right. I want to see how Chief and the others will kill us when they arrive. Mo-15's eyes sparkled. Chief and the others have received the news and are on their way. MOC looked at the reply on his phone and said indifferently. All the Draconids are heading to Tianfeng City. Mo-san and the others are in trouble. At that moment, in Jianghu City's villa, Mo Qinglong's expression turned cold when he received the distress call. He immediately roared loudly. A terrifying killing intent burst forth from his body. What? Mo-san and the other 5 are in trouble? The Draconids were slightly startled and immediately stood up. Heavenly Wind Corporation, the 9th-ranked prodigy on the prodigy roll. Now that he has advanced to the first level of the demigod rank, just a single prodigy wants to kill us brothers. Let's go and kill them and destroy their Heavenly Wind Corporation. Mo Qinglong roared with a ghastly expression. Chapter 1852. 1852 1852, one strand of hair and one sword. Let's go. At the river city, Mo Qinglong and the group of Draconids quickly flew towards the direction of Heavenly Wind City. The distance between the two places was only about 1,000 kilometers. With the help of Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan, the two demigods could teleport. It would take them at most 5 minutes to reach Heavenly Wind City. This Heavenly Wind prodigy had actually reached the demigod realm, the Son of Fate. Every single prodigy was the Son of Fate. It was as expected. In the past, everyone thought that Heavenly Wind prodigy was only at the peak of the insightful Void Realm. However, after 4 peak of the insightful Void Realm experts became enemies with Heavenly Wind Corporation, Heavenly Wind prodigy directly displayed the strength of a demigod. Who are those people down there? 4 of them are at the peak of the profound Void Martial stage. Their strength is also very terrifying. Those people down there seem to be asking for help. However, Tianfeng Tianjiao is standing there waiting for their people to arrive. Tianfeng Tianjiao is so confident. With Tianfeng Tianjiao's current strength, even the number 1 on the prodigy roll would be able to fight for a bit. He is completely unafraid of any force. The distress signal flares floating in the sky, the explosions coming from the Sun Clan group, and over 10,000 members of the Tianfeng group gathered in the sky. This scene attracted the attention of the entire Tianfeng city, and everyone flew over curiously. When they learned of the cause and effect, everyone's faces revealed a shocked expression. 4 experts at the peak of the profound Void Realm had a conflict with the Tianfeng group. Just when everyone thought that the Tianfeng group would meet with big trouble or even be destroyed, Tianfeng's prodigy flew across the sky, displaying the invincible appearance of a demigod. It had been said long ago that every prodigy was the Son of Fate, the so-called main character. Just when everyone thought that the main character was about to be killed, the main character would erupt with strength that no one expected, performing a huge reversal. Today the Heavenly Wind prodigy displayed what was the Son of Fate, and what was the main character. He floated proudly in the sky, looking down at Mo Sanyi and the others with an indifferent expression, waiting for the other party to call them over. This attitude made many people around him submit. Tianfeng Jiazi is simply too handsome. How great would it be if I could marry him? In fact, thousands of girls around him were looking at that tall, proud and handsome figure with infatuation. Young Master Tianfeng, I hope that you can let me personally kill them in the end and avenge my son. Sun Lietian respectfully said to Zhou Tianfeng with a face full of excitement and savagery. Yes. Zhou Tianfeng glanced at Sun Lietian indifferently and said, Thank you, young Master Tianfeng. Sun Lietian's body trembled as he nodded his head. His blood-red eyeballs stared at the people below. I will feed your corpses to the dogs. Around them, all the members of the Tianfeng Corporation revealed smiles on their faces. Looking at the powerful young master, their faces were full of pride. Hee hee. Below them Mo San and the rest laughed coldly. I hope that in a while, Tianfeng Tianjiao, you can still stand high and mighty. Mo 15 stared at Zhou Tianfeng, a trace of disdain flashing in his eyes as he directly said. Haha, I'll give you 20 minutes. If no one comes to save you in 20 minutes, then I'll take your dog lives. Hearing Mo 15's words, Zhou Tianfeng laughed out loud and announced. Ha. After he finished speaking, Mo San and the others looked to the right. Through the dense crowd of people, they revealed faint smiles on their faces. We don't need 20 minutes. At this moment, a cold voice came from the back. This caused the hundreds of thousands of people gathered in the surroundings, as well as the people from the Tianfeng Corporation in the center, to be slightly stunned. He's very fast. Zhou Tianfeng narrowed his eyes slightly and looked towards the right. I want to see what kind of power dares to fight with my Tianfeng Corporation in Tianfeng City. Boom. Before he could finish his words, a terrifying aura came from the back. I want to see who dares to kill us. Devil Chi shot into the sky, covering half of the eastern sky of Tianfeng City. The devil chi that covered an area of more than 100 kilometers interrupted Zhou Tianfeng's words, causing everyone to be stunned. Oh my god, what a terrifying aura. Make way, make way. They. At this moment, the world changed and the expressions of everyone who was watching the show changed drastically. Especially those in the east. Everyone looked behind them and their faces instantly revealed an extremely shocked expression. They hurriedly hid to the side, their eyes wide open, filled with disbelief. Oh, how is this possible? A path opened up, and more than 40 figures appeared in everyone's sight. When they saw the 40 terrifying figures in the air, their eyes instantly widened. The aura of each of the 40 figures was no less than that of a peak profound void martial stage cultivator. Even the old man and the middle-aged man in the middle had an even more terrifying aura. Them? Zhou Tianfeng's expression changed drastically when he saw Dongfang and the others. He couldn't believe it. This is impossible. Tian Bing's expression also changed slightly as he stared at Mo Qinglong and the others. This is impossible. There are more than 40 at the peak of the insightful void realm and 2 at the first rank of the demigod realm. Other than the Lingxiao treasured palace and the other 3 forces, it's impossible for them to have so many experts. But they're obviously not from our Lingxiao treasured palace and the other 3 forces. They must have obtained a huge opportunity in some god country and obtained a huge inheritance. I really didn't expect that. The middle-aged heavenly soldier muttered with a hint of jealousy in his eyes. Leader. Mo San and the others smiled and flew toward Mo Qinglong and the others with smiles on their faces. Mo Jio's wife and son widened their eyes slightly as they followed behind in a daze. Go to the back and protect Yue and the others. Mo Qinglong stroked Yue's head and said indifferently to them. Grandpa Mo. Yue and the others had seen Mo Qinglong and the others more than once. At this moment, he lowered his head and called out shyly. Yue, go to the back and watch. Anyone who dares to bully you will have to see if we agree or not. Mo Qinglong said to Lu Yi indifferently. Mo Jio's wife and the rest nodded excitedly and followed Mo Jio to stand at the back. Tianfeng Tianjiao? A reckless thing from the Sun Group almost killed our brother's son. We are here to take revenge. Are you going to stand up for them? Very good. Ask our brother to call someone to save them. In 5 minutes we will rush here. Now I will give you 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, if you can't find the person who saved you, then everyone in the Tianfeng Corporation will die. Mo Qinglong stared at them and roared the last sentence. If Zhou Tianfeng dared to ask Mo San and the others to call for help, then they would also dare to ask the other party to call for help. Return the favor. What was at stake was strength and power. The loser would die. Chapter 1853. 1853, a single strand of hair, and a sword 6. They were all going to die. Boom, boom, boom. A terrifying killing intent shot out from Mo Qinglong's body, and a powerful killing intent locked onto Zhou Tianfeng. The powerful aura and the cold words caused everyone's breathing to stop. Zhou Tianfeng's expression changed drastically, and his cold eyes stared fixedly at Mo Qinglong. The expressions of all the members of Tianfeng Corporation changed drastically, and fear appeared in their eyes. The change in their characters was too fast. Just now they were the ones who were judging the other party's group. However, they had never expected that the other party would have more than 40 experts flying over. The lowest was at the peak of the insightful void realm. Without their young master Heavenly Wind, 1 or 2 peak of the insightful void realm experts would be able to annihilate their Heavenly Wind Corporation. However, the other party actually had more than 40 experts, more than 40 of them. Especially since their leader was obviously a demigod. How is this possible? 80% of the prodigies on the prodigy rankings haven't reached the peak of the profound void martial stage yet, and now there are more than 40 of them? The surrounding people were also in disbelief. 20 prodigies were born from the 20 ancient lands. They were known as the prodigies of heaven and the children of fate. The prodigy strength ranged from the 7th level of the profound void martial stage to the demigod realm. With such strength they could become prodigies and establish powerful groups. But now, there were more than 40 prodigies who could rival the top 10 on the prodigy leaderboard. How could they believe it? How can Tianfeng Heaven's favorites resist? I'm afraid the Tianfeng Corporation is finished. The surrounding spectators looked at Tianfeng Heaven's favorites in astonishment, and then at the group of experts who suddenly appeared. What a surprise! There are more than 40 peak of the insightful Void Realm and 2 demigod experts. Zhou Tianfeng clenched his fists, and an embarrassed expression appeared on his face. However, do you think that you can destroy us with such strength? He glanced at the heavenly soldier beside him and raised his head slightly. There was no fear on his face at all. There were 2 level 1 demigod experts on the other side, but there was also a level 1 demigod beside him. As Zhou Tianfeng spoke, he took a step forward, and the level 1 demigod experts all burst out. Behind him, a hurricane formed and condensed into numerous sharp green swords. They clashed with the Azure Demon Dragon. Boom! When his aura erupted, the heavenly soldier beside him also unleashed the power of a demigod. A sharp light and Zhou Tianfeng's aura pressed forward together. In an instant, a storm raged. What? The middle-aged man beside Tianfeng Tianjiao is also a demigod? My god, who is he? Who is that middle-aged man in golden armor? Tianfeng Tianjiao also has a demigod beside him. When the heavenly soldier beside Zhou Tianfeng released his aura, the expressions of everyone around him changed. The sudden appearance of experts shocked them. Is this the so-called son of fate? Some of them looked at the heavenly soldier beside Zhou Tianfeng and murmured. If it's only the 2 of you demigods, then today your Tianfeng corporation and the 2 of you will be destroyed. Mo Yuan didn't panic at all when he saw the heavenly soldier. Instead, a strong fighting spirit appeared on his face. A powerful aura locked onto the heavenly soldier. Is that so? We can fight now. A wild and violent expression appeared on his face. As soon as he finished speaking, the Draconids emitted an extremely powerful killing intent. When the group of Draconids took 2 steps forward, Zhou Tianfeng's expression changed slightly. Although there were 2 demigods on their side, there were more than 40 peak of the profound void martial stage other than the 2 demigods. If they really started fighting, the rest of the Tianfeng corporation would be killed instantly. Even the golden-armored middle-aged man has the strength of a demigod, but Tianfeng Tianjiao and the others aren't a match for that mysterious organization. There are too many peak of the insightful Void Realm experts on the other side. More than 40 peak of the insightful Void Realm experts combined can kill a rank 1 demigod. The expressions of the surrounding onlookers changed slightly when they saw this scene. Some timid people hurriedly retreated. The range of a demigod-level battle was very terrifying. Zhou Tianfeng frowned and his expression changed drastically. He hadn't joined the Lingxiao treasured palace yet and wasn't a divine son yet. He couldn't reveal his identity yet. Facing this powerful group of people in front of him, he couldn't do anything. Tianfeng prodigy, Shui Tianjiang and the others are here. At this moment, the heavenly soldier beside him suddenly looked in the direction of the Tianfeng ancient land. His eyes flickered as he said indifferently. Oh. Zhou Tianfeng was slightly stunned. He immediately looked toward the Tianfeng ancient land. Vaguely, he saw Shui Tianjiang flying toward them with 100 heavenly soldiers. This made him smile as he slowly looked at Mo Qinglong and the others. Today it might not be a battle but a massacre. Zhou Tianfeng's face revealed a ghastly expression. Heavenly soldiers, heavenly generals, that's the heavenly soldiers, heavenly generals. At this moment, amidst the tense atmosphere, a shocked roar suddenly sounded. Heavenly soldiers, heavenly generals. In an instant, everyone hurriedly looked towards the source of the sound. Some of them quickly scanned their surroundings. Heavenly soldiers and generals. These 4 words represented an invincible army on earth. Everyone still remembered that when the gods descended, there were 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals that were floating in the sky and emitting endless majesty. Every single heavenly soldier had the strength of a 1st-stage demigod. Every single heavenly general had the strength of a 5th-stage demigod or above. An invincible army, an existence that would not be offended. It's really the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. What are they doing here? When some people saw the hundreds of people flying over from the heavenly wind ancient land, their eyes widened and were filled with reverence. Heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. When Mo Qinglong and the others heard these words, they were slightly shocked and looked over as well. As their gazes swept over, their faces revealed an incomparably grave expression. Over 100 people were led by a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was covered in golden armor. His body was tall and sturdy and he looked awe-inspiring. His face was filled with an awe-inspiring expression. Behind the middle-aged man, a group of heavenly soldiers held golden long spears in their hands. Their gazes coldly swept over the surroundings. This kind of coldness was as though a god was looking at an ordinary mortal. There are actually so many decent experts? Shui Tian led a group of heavenly soldiers and flew over. His gaze swept past Mo Qinglong and the others, and his eyes revealed surprise as well. Tianfeng, what happened? As Shui Tian spoke, his gaze turned towards Zhou Tianfeng in the middle as he asked with a smile on his face. The powerful aura that erupted from this side caused Shui Tian to fly over with curiosity. When he saw Zhou Tianfeng here, he somewhat understood what had happened. However, his words, Tianfeng, caused everyone to open their mouths in surprise. Chapter 1854. 1854, A Single Hair and a Sword 7. Heavenly Wind. The appearance of the heavenly troops and heavenly generals caused everyone's faces to be filled with shock and awe. However, they weren't too shocked. After all, this wasn't the first time they had seen the heavenly troops and heavenly generals. However, the leader of the heavenly troops and heavenly generals descended from the sky and called out to heavenly wind Tianjiao with an amiable expression, causing everyone to be shocked. How does Tianfeng know a heavenly general? Everyone in the crowd widened their eyes, and so did all the members of the Tianfeng group. What happened today completely exceeded their expectations. 4 powerful existences at the peak of the profound void martial stage. Tianfeng had broken through to the demigod realm. 2 demigods and more than 40 experts at the peak of the profound void martial stage had arrived. The demigods beside Tianfeng Tianjiao. Tianfeng Tianjiao's confrontation with this mysterious force. It was a reversal, a constant reversal. Just when everyone thought that Tianfeng Tianjiao and the others were still at a disadvantage, the heavenly troops and heavenly generals suddenly appeared. The heavenly troops and heavenly generals directly called Tianfeng with a smile on their faces. A series of changes caused the hearts of everyone in Tianfeng City to beat violently. Even everyone in Heavenly Wind Corporation felt the same way. This group of enemies and their young master had brought them too much shock. Especially now. Greetings, Lord Heavenly Soldiers and Heavenly Generals. At this moment, everyone in the surroundings reacted. The hundreds of thousands of people gathered in the surroundings bowed and greeted the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. Although they didn't kneel, the position of the heavenly soldiers and generals could be seen from the bow. When Mo Qinglong and the others saw this scene, they frowned and had a bad premonition. Heavenly General Shui. When Zhou Tianfeng saw them coming, he was excited and cupped his hands. Haha, Tianfeng, you don't have to be so polite. When you join the Lingxiao Treasured Palace, you'll be a divine son on the God Ascension list. At that time, we'll also be senior and junior brothers. Is there anyone here who wants to be rude to Tianfeng? Heavenly General Shui laughed loudly and said to Zhou Tianfeng in a carefree manner. When he finished his last sentence, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly as he indifferently swept his gaze over the Azure Demon Dragon and the others. Being able to befriend a divine son was extremely beneficial to Heavenly General Shui. The heavenly troops and heavenly generals seemed awe-inspiring, but in reality, most of the heavenly generals in the Lingxiao Treasured Palace were inferior to divine sons. The members of the heavenly soldiers and generals were mostly cultivators who were 5,000 to 6,000 years old, or even 7,000 to 8,000 years old. It was already very difficult for them to become gods. As for those divine sons, they were young and possessed incomparably terrifying strength. Even if they couldn't become gods in the end, they could basically reach the 7th or 8th level of the demigod realm or even higher. That was why General Shui Tian was so polite to Zhou Tianfeng and gave him so much face. According to the people on Earth's evaluation of Heaven's pride, they were the children of fate, the main characters. The treatment of the main characters. At this moment, Zhou Tianfeng was completely the template of the main characters. Is there someone here who is being unreasonable to Tianfeng? When everyone heard Shui Tianjiang's words, they sucked in a breath of cold air. Tianfeng's Heaven's pride wants to join the Lingxiao Treasured Palace and become a divine son. Tianjiang, who dares to be rude to Tianfeng Tianjiao? Their bodies trembled, and when everyone saw this scene, their bodies trembled. This is fate, this is strength. In the future, Tianfeng Tianjiao has a high chance of becoming a god. Some people looked at the figure in the sky and sucked in a breath. Haha, Shui Tianjiang, that group of people said they want to destroy our Tianfeng Corporation and kill me? More than 40 experts at the peak of the profound void martial stage and 2 experts at the level of demigod level 1 are very powerful. Give me 10 minutes. If I can't summon any experts within 10 minutes, they will make their move. Zhou Tianfeng shouted loudly when he saw Shui Tianjiang giving him face. He looked at Mo Qinglong and the others with a mocking expression. Oh, you want to kill Tianfeng and destroy your Tianfeng organization? I'll give you 10 minutes to call for help? Shui Tianjiang smiled and looked at Mo Qinglong and the others as well. At this moment, the gazes of everyone who saw Zhou Tianfeng and Shui Tianjiang were all focused on Mo Qinglong and the others. They knew that this group of villains would be in trouble soon. Over 40 experts at the peak of the profound void martial stage are indeed powerful, but you want to take Tianfeng's life. Shui Tianjiang looked down at Mo Qinglong and the others, and his aura slowly rose. Wang. A long spear suddenly appeared in his hand. Clang. The sound of metal clanging could be heard from the long spear. He held the long spear in his hand and pointed it at the 100-kilometer-long demon cloud in the sky. The long spear flashed with a cold light and directly charged into the sky. Boom! A thunderous sound rang out from within the demonic cloud, and all of the demonic clouds instantly dissipated. This is the strength of a heavenly general? At this moment, everyone saw a flash of lightning, and the demonic chi that covered 100 kilometers dissipated. All of their faces revealed expressions of shock. Who? Mo Qinglong and the others stopped breathing, and they felt an incomparable pressure. Considering your strength, I'll give you a chance to live. Kneel down to Tianfeng and respect him in the future. Shui Tianjiang pointed the long spear in the sky at Mo Qinglong and the others and said calmly, "Respect me?" Zhou Tianfeng also revealed an excited expression when he heard Shui Tianjiang's words. With him as their leader, there were more than 40 peak insightful void realm demigods. If he became their leader in the future, his strength and influence would receive a huge increase. Even if he became a divine son in the future, he still had strong confidence that he was not weaker than the other divine sons. In fact, he was even stronger than them. Zhou Tianfeng looked at Shui Tianjiang gratefully, his eyes shining. I am the chosen one. I am the main character on earth. He clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with excitement. The other people in Heavenly Wind City also opened their mouths slightly. He wants us to kneel down and respect them. Ah, is he worthy? When Azure Demon Dragon heard Heavenly General Shui's words, he growled in a low voice with an extremely embarrassed expression. Prepare to flee. His arm slowly turned into a dragon claw, and a pair of dragon horns gradually appeared on his head as he spoke softly to the group of draconids beside him. Oh, in this state? I understand now. So you guys have obtained some bloodlines. No wonder you guys were able to improve so quickly. However, more than 40 people have obtained bloodlines. I think it's impossible for them to have divine-grade bloodlines. Their potential is limited. Shui Tianjiang raised his brows slightly when he saw the changes on Mo Qinglong's body. If the other party had reached such a realm with a human bloodline, then he wouldn't have killed Mo Qinglong and the others because their potential was endless. But if it was a bloodline, then it was different. Are you unwilling to submit? If you offend the future divine son, I'll sentence you to death. Are you very strong? You are just ants. Kill them. General Shui ordered the heavenly soldiers behind him. Chapter 1855. 1855, a single hair and a sword 8. Clang. When General Shui Tian gave the order, the 100 over heavenly soldiers behind him moved their spears. A cold voice and a sharp edge resounded throughout the sky. The 100 over heavenly soldiers stared at Mo Qinglong and the others, their expressions unchanged. Although these 40 over people were very strong, they could be easily killed by them. Shui Tianjiang has given you a chance to live. Submit to me and respect me. Don't be reckless. Seeing the heavenly soldiers preparing to attack, Zhou Tianfeng roared at Mo Qinglong and the others. Compared to killing them and taking them as his subordinates, he wanted to take these people as his subordinates. Even at this moment he could see that these people had bloodlines. You guys run, I'll fight with Mo Yuan. Mo Qinglong ignored Zhou Tianfeng and immediately roared at the draconids behind him. Go. The Draconids let out a low growl with an extremely ugly expression and turned around, wanting to flee into the distance. You want to escape? With just a bunch of ants like you? At the instant the Draconids wanted to escape, a look of contempt appeared on Shui Tianjiang's face. Without him saying a word, the group of heavenly soldiers beside him instantly disappeared. Clang, clang, clang. In just an instant, a group of heavenly soldiers appeared around Mo Qinglong and the others. More than 100 heavenly soldiers directly surrounded them. At this moment, the expressions of all the Draconids changed drastically. Not good. Mo Qinglong's heart sank, and a trace of despair flashed through his eyes. What a powerful heavenly army. They moved in an instant and surrounded all of them. It's as difficult as ascending to the heavens to escape in front of the heavenly army, even if this group of people is incomparably powerful. The expressions of the surrounding spectators were shocked once again, and their gazes were fixed on them. Kill them, kill them. All of them must die. Sun Lai Tian revealed an extremely excited expression when he saw this scene. They had killed their own son. The more people they killed, the more excited he became. I'll give you one last chance, submit. Zhou Tianfeng gave a final warning when he saw this scene. However, what came next was still the unwavering eyes of the Draconids. I'll give you a chance, but you don't want it? Kill a few of them first. General Shui Tian glanced at Zhou Tianfeng and ordered the heavenly soldiers indifferently. Clang, clang, clang. As soon as he finished speaking, dozens of heavenly soldiers instantly attacked the Draconids. The strength of a rank 1 demigod was completely unleashed. Get lost. Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan's expressions changed drastically as they directly faced the group of heavenly soldiers. Die. Seeing the two charge over, killing intent appeared in the eyes of the dozen or so heavenly soldiers. Die. A cold voice sounded out as spear lights pierced towards the two. No, leader. Behind them, the Draconids' expressions changed drastically as they charged over and roared loudly. Bang bang. The arms of the Azure Demon Dragon and Mo Yuan turned into dragon claws as they faced the long spears. When the two of them blocked the two long spears, they felt a wave of powerlessness. Fear appeared on their faces as they watched the long spears continue to stab towards them. Despair appeared on their faces. Buzz. Just as they thought that they were about to be pierced by the long spears, a blood-red hair on their heads moved slightly. Bang 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 bang. That hair fell from their bodies and condensed into a ray of light in front of them that was the combination of dark lightning and flames. The light flashed and blocked more than 10 heavenly soldiers. Ha! Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan were slightly stunned, and their faces showed astonishment. What? The more than 10 attacking heavenly soldiers showed astonishment. They saw a light appear in front of the two people, and then the strand of hair slowly floated down. The strand of hair seemed to have lost its energy and became a little withered. A strand of hair. They have defensive treasures on them. A heavenly soldier shouted coldly. Continue to attack. The voice of another heavenly soldier rang out. At the same time in the Tianda square of Jianghu City, Wang Xian, who was holding Kair with his right hand and a flower on his neck, was shopping in a children's clothing store. Beside him, Yao Nu and Ao Qitian Ao Jian were following him. All of a sudden, Ao Qitian's body paused. Dragon King, something might have happened to Mo Qinglong and the rest. I have placed my hair on a group of Draconids. It can help them withstand fatal attacks from those below the godly state. Now the hair on Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan's bodies have been consumed. Ao Qitian immediately walked to Wang Xian's side and transmitted his voice to him. Oh? Wang Xian's body paused slightly. He frowned and sensed that Mo Qinglong and the rest were still alive. Then he looked at Ao Qitian and said, You and Ao Jian go over. Kill all the enemies. It's the Dragon King. Ao Qitian nodded his head. Then he took Ao Jian and disappeared from the spot instantly. Yao Nu, who was at the side, heard their conversation and widened her eyes slightly. Buzz. In just an instant, Ao Qitian and Ao Jian appeared in the sky about 20,000 meters above the Sun Group building in Tianfeng City. With Ao Qitian's current strength, he was only a few thousand kilometers away. It would take less than a second. When they appeared in the sky, more than a dozen heavenly soldiers attacked Devil Azure Dragon and Devil Abyss from below again. Let me do it. Ao Jian looked down and waved his arm. A sharp sword directly attacked below. Go to hell. More than 10 heavenly soldiers' long spears locked onto demonic azure dragon and demonic abyss from below. Once this attack landed on them, they would definitely die. Buzz. At this moment, a sword fell from the sky. A golden sword that emitted a cold metallic luster appeared above the heavenly soldiers as though it had teleported. Poo poo poo. A golden light flashed, and the bodies of the heavenly soldiers that were attacking froze. Under the shocked gazes of Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan, and the surrounding heavenly soldiers and spectators, more than 10 heavenly soldiers directly fell to the ground. Their hearts were instantly pierced. What? Shui Tianjiang, who stood proudly in the air, was slightly stunned, and his face revealed a stunned expression. He looked at the sharp sword and slowly revealed a shocked expression. Someone dared to kill their heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. What's going on? That sword. Someone is attacking the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. While everyone was slightly stunned, they saw the golden sword floating in the air above the mysterious force, and their faces revealed a shocked expression. Attack the heavenly soldiers and generals? This was the heavenly soldiers and generals. The expressions of the remaining 80 heavenly soldiers changed. They never expected that someone would dare to attack them. Buzz. At this moment, the sword moved again. A golden light flashed and all the heavenly soldiers felt their hearts tighten. Their eyes started to lose focus. Bang bang bang. In the sky, the remaining 80 or so heavenly soldiers fell toward the ground. Dot. Chapter 1856. 1856. If 1856 was killed, so be it. Bang bang bang. In front of Tianfeng City's Sun Group, one corpse after another fell to the ground with an abnormally clear sound. Even if there were hundreds of thousands of people gathered around, even if they were separated by a few people, everyone could hear the sound of the corpses falling to the ground. The first 10 or so corpses, along with the later 80 or so corpses, fell heavily to the ground. As the sound rang out, everyone around felt as if the corpses were smashing into their hearts. Heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals, these were heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. The most powerful legion in the Lingxiao treasured palace, but now, 100 heavenly soldiers had been directly killed. A single sword had killed 100 heavenly soldiers. Who did this? Who dared to kill a group of heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals? Hiss, they're dead, they're dead. 100 heavenly soldiers and generals were all killed. How is this possible? Who did this? Who dared to do this? Look up, there are 2 figures up there. A 10-kilometer radius of silence lasted for more than 10 seconds. A shocked voice burst out from the mouths of all the onlookers. Everyone's faces were filled with shock. Everything that had happened today had shocked them. However, the fact that more than 100 heavenly soldiers and generals had been killed made them feel a little terrified. This was the strongest army brought by the gods. The weakest was a first-level demigod. Any one of them could destroy an entire city. Everyone sucked in a deep breath of cold air. They raised their heads and looked at the 2 figures in the sky. Who dares to kill our heavenly soldiers and generals? Who is it? Shui Tianjiang's body trembled slightly. He raised his head and stared at the sky as he shouted sternly. Damn it, who are they? Zhou Tianfeng's expression changed drastically as a bad premonition enveloped his heart. An expert who dared to kill even heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals had no scruples at all. Mo Qinglong, who else wants to kill you? At this moment, Ao Qitian's voice came from the sky. He completely ignored Shui Tianjiang's roar and the gazes from below. Leader Ao, Tianfeng Tianjiao of Tianfeng Corporation and a group of heavenly soldiers and generals want to kill us. Mo Qinglong and the others also reacted at this moment and immediately said respectfully to the 2 figures in the sky. At this moment, Mo Qinglong and the others also understood that the hair that helped them block the fatal blow was the hair on Ao Qitian's body. What are they doing? Everyone in the surroundings was slightly shocked when they heard the indistinct voice coming from the sky. Tianfeng Corporation, Tianfeng Heaven's Pride, Heavenly Troops and Heavenly Generals. Ao Jian's cold voice sounded from the sky. At this moment, the sharp sword that was suspended in the sky started to move. The sharp swords gave off a metallic luster. One after another, the sharp swords split apart, instantly splitting into tens of thousands of swords. The tens of thousands of sharp swords attacked everyone in the Tianfeng Corporation. Not good, quickly dodge. Zhou Qianfeng's expression changed drastically when he saw this scene, and he hurriedly shouted. So. However, with Ao Jian's almost invincible existence below the godly state, killing a few ordinary demigods and a group of insightful void transcendents was simply instant. The sharp swords attacked everyone in the Tianfeng Corporation. At this moment, the sharp swords were like the scythes of the Grim Reaper. No. When everyone in the Tianfeng Corporation saw the sharp metal swords attacking them, despair appeared on their faces. They shouted in terror. Oh no, who are you people? How dare you kill me? I am the future divine son, the son of fate, the main character of earth. Zhou Tianfeng saw a golden sword heading toward him. The resplendent metallic edge on it made his hair stand on end. Wung. He moved his palm, and a wooden box appeared in his hand. The green swords in the wooden box met the resplendent golden sword. Ping. However, to his horror, the instant the golden sword collided with the green sword he released, the supreme treasure he had obtained in the Tianfeng ancient land was easily struck to the side. The resplendent golden sword continued to attack him. This caused his face to be filled with shock. I am a heavenly soldier and a heavenly general. If you dare to attack me, the Lingxiao treasured palace will not let you off. An earth-shaking roar came from the side. Lightning flashed all over Shui Tianjiang's body. He held a long spear in his hand and roared like a god of thunder. When everyone around heard the sound, they immediately looked over. Pooh. However, they saw a scene that they would never forget. The thunder god-like heavenly general was filled with lightning. However, at this moment, numerous sharp swords easily pierced through his body. It was as if the lightning was just a special effect. Crackle. His body started to freeze and his eyes started to lose focus. He raised his head and stared at the two blurry figures in the sky. Gradually he moved to the right. In the sky on the right, there was a palace with a circumference of more than 10,000 kilometers that stood in the void. That was the Lingxiao treasured palace. The god of our Lingxiao treasured palace will not let you go. Cough. As soon as he finished speaking, his body fell toward the ground. No, I can't die. Zhou Tianfeng, who had witnessed Shui Tian's death, roared unwillingly. He was about to become a divine son. Even in the Lingxiao treasured palace, he was still a divine son who stood high and mighty. He was unwilling to accept this. He widened his eyes and stared at the resplendent golden sword that was already in front of him. He roared powerlessly. Pooh! With a single sword strike, everything vanished into thin air. The so-called chosen ones, the main characters, the divine sons, and the children of fate were all unable to withstand Ao Jian's strike. The heartless sword Dao, the heartless sword. Ping. Shui Tian's corpse fell, Zhou Qianfeng's corpse fell, and all the surrounding Tianfeng organization members' corpses fell. In less than 5 seconds all of them died. Let's go. Ao Qitian's voice sounded again and he waved his arm. Below, the corpses of more than 100 heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals and Zhou Qianfeng's corpses were stored into the interspatial ring. Mo Qinglong and the rest disappeared in an instant. They only felt a flash before they returned to the villa in Jianghu City. Thank you, leaders. Mo Qinglong and the rest felt awe in their hearts. They immediately bowed and thanked Ao Qitian and Ao Jian. There's no need. Mo Qinglong and Ao Jian shook their heads. Their bodies moved and disappeared again. In the Tianda Square in Jianghu City, the two figures appeared behind Wang Xian. No one in the surrounding could sense their sudden appearance. Dragon King, we have killed more than 100 heavenly soldiers and generals. Ao Qitian took 2 steps towards Wang Xian and reported. Kill them then? Wang Xian nodded his head nonchalantly. Daddy, go there. At this moment, the sound of flowers could be heard from his neck. All right. Wang Xian led them to the shop in front. When Yao Nu heard Ao Qitian's report and Wang Xian's nonchalance, her eyes were filled with shock. The heavenly soldiers and generals of the Lingxiao treasured palace were killed just like that? Chapter 1857. 1857 Family Banquet 1. Boom. More than 100 heaven soldiers and generals were all killed. Tianfeng Tianjia was killed. Oh my god, this. Who are those people? How dare they kill heaven soldiers and generals? How dare they kill future divine sons? A sword is so terrifying. These are troubled times. Yesterday the sea god died, the divine sea palace disappeared from the bottom of the sea, the fifth divine son of the Lingxiao treasured palace died, and more than 100 heaven soldiers and generals were killed. Tianfeng Tianjiao was killed. He killed more than 100 heaven soldiers and heaven generals with only a sword. That heaven general didn't even have the strength to resist, and Tianfeng Tianjiao was killed instantly. Who are they? What forces are they? At this moment in Tianfeng City, the entire city was in an uproar. 2 figures and a sword. The heaven soldiers and heaven generals that everyone thought were invincible were all killed by Tianfeng Tianjiao, whom they thought was the son of fate and the main character. At the same time, everyone from the Heavenly Wind Corporation was also killed. The death of a group of experts shook the entire Heavenly Wind City. Troubled times. The news of more than 100 heavenly troops and generals being killed quickly spread to the surroundings. With the existence of the computer network, in just half a day, everyone in the East knew that the heavenly troops and generals had been killed. At the same time, 100,000 meters high in the sky, in the towering Lingxiao treasured palace. In the center of the treasured palace, a figure with a golden halo and a divine crown was leaning on a divine seat. In front of them, 15 middle-aged men in golden armor and holding halberds stood in the center of the treasured palace. On the bodies of the 15 people, there were 5 words written in the north, south, east, west. They represented the heavenly generals and vice-generals of the east, west and south gates of the Lingxiao treasured hall respectively. And the middle one represented the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals in the Lingxiao treasured hall. More than 100 heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals have been killed. Commander Dong, go and find out who did it. Once you find the murderer, report immediately. The figure on the divine throne said slowly. It's a divine lord. He killed our heavenly soldiers and generals. I will definitely take their heads. The commander of the East Heaven's Gate shouted loudly with a cold face. Commander Zhong, how is the matter that I asked you to investigate? The figure on the divine throne continued to ask. Reporting to the divine lord, we did not find any clues in the Pacific Ocean. We discovered that the Earth's crust has begun to move violently. It seems like Earth is going to undergo a huge change. The middle commander's eyes sparkled as he reported. Next, get everyone in the Lingxiao treasured palace ready. Earth will usher in a second mutation. It will be an opportunity for everyone. The figure on the throne said slowly. Yes, divine lord. The commanders responded loudly. When they saw the figure on the throne disappear, they immediately retreated. The sea god has fallen and some powerful creatures have appeared. The second mutation is coming. This is an opportunity for the Lingxiao treasured palace. Perhaps a few gods will be born, and it is also an opportunity for us. It is hard to say whether it is an opportunity or not, but we have to be careful next. After all, this is an ancient battlefield that has existed for more than 100,000 years. Demons and monsters are everywhere. When someone rises, someone will fall. Someone is already challenging the dignity of our skyscraping treasured palace. There are more and more things that don't know whether they are dead or alive. We risked our lives to come here. We will definitely take the biggest fruit. The figure that was leaning on the divine throne appeared in a divine palace in the highest hall of the skyscraping treasured palace. There were also a few figures in the divine palace. They were chatting and looking down at the water blue planet below through a mirror in the divine palace. There was also a mirror at the side. There was a fixed pattern on the mirror. It was also a planet. All the continents were connected together. The continents were the continents and the oceans were the oceans. How beautiful, how cute. Sir, your 2 little princesses are simply too cute. In the Tianda Square in Jianghu City, Wang Xian brought the 2 little guys to a children's clothing store. The waiter looked at Hua Kai who was wearing new clothes and said with sparkling eyes. The 2 little guys were extremely clean and pure. They were exceptionally beautiful and cute. Coupled with their almost identical facial features, all the passers-by looked at them curiously. They are pretty cute. They are just a little naughty. Wang Xian looked at the 2 little guys who had changed into new clothes and said with a face full of affection. Hee dad, it's my sister who's naughty. I'm not naughty. The obedient Kair walked over and held his hand as she said. I'm not naughty, daddy, I'm not naughty. Hua also ran over immediately and glared at Kair. Alright. Do you still want new clothes? Yes. The intelligence of the two little kids could not be judged by common sense. However, the nature of shopping for clothes might be inborn in a woman. Even the two little guys did not know how to tire. After shopping around the entire Tianda Square for an entire morning, they bought almost 100 pieces of clothes for the two of them. Wang Xian had no choice. He didn't know if the two of them would suddenly turn 5 or 6 years old in a few days. After bringing the two excited little fellows out from Tianda Square, Wang Xian and the rest walked towards the villa. It was located in the center of Jianghu City. It was much more bustling than before. There were luxurious cars on the streets and people would fly past from time to time in the sky. Chirp, chirp, chirp. At this moment, a rapid and ear-piercing sound suddenly rang out. The range of the sound had reached more than 100 kilometers. Ah, what is that sound? What is that? The sudden ear-piercing sound caused many people on the streets to have a drastic change in expression. Some of them were children and old people. They even covered their ears and revealed a pained expression. Ah. Wang Xian frowned slightly and looked towards the west. What's going on? From the sound of it, it's not a simple demonic beast. Why would there be a demonic beast here all of a sudden? At this moment, on the street opposite Wang Xian and the rest, a group of 7 to 8 young men with extraordinary statuses immediately raised their heads and looked towards the west as well. Their faces were filled with astonishment. Ancient lands appeared one after another on earth. Most of the ancient lands had powerful demonic beasts and ferocious beasts. They had never left the ancient lands before. However, such powerful demonic beasts could not be born on earth. At this moment, a ferocious bird beast with a human head that was emitting monstrous demonic flames appeared in the sky above Jianghu City. Its wings were about 30 meters long. Its pitch-black wings had no wings and were completely made of bones. The entire demonic beast gave off a terrifying power. Not good, a demigod-level demonic beast. This is a demigod-level demonic beast. Sensing the aura of the demonic beast in the sky, everyone in Jianghu City changed their expressions. Chapter 1858. 1858 Family Banquet 2. Why would a demigod-level demon beast appear in the city? If all the demon beasts in the valley come out, this weak planet will be in complete chaos. The fall of the sea god, the disappearance of the divine sea palace, the death of the divine sun, and the news from our brothers in the Lingxiao treasured palace that more than 100 heavenly soldiers and generals have been killed, why do I feel that the earth is becoming more and more chaotic? On the street in front of the Tianda Square, 7 or 8 young men and women stood on the street below. Their expressions changed as they looked at the terrifying demonic beast circling in the sky. Too many shocking things had happened in the past few days. Especially just now, they had received a piece of information in the group chat of the young men in the Lingxiao treasured palace. More than 100 heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals had been killed by a mysterious expert. Among them, everyone was still discussing this matter, and many people had even sent out many pictures. In the pictures, there was a picture of a group of heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals being killed. This was a group of heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals, the most powerful army of their Lingxiao treasured palace. Even if it was placed in the boundless star field, it would still be a powerful force. But now, it was actually killed by the mysterious force and the expert with one sword. This made them extremely shocked. Their strength was still far from the demigod realm. Chirp, chirp, chirp. At this moment, another hurried voice sounded, and the expressions of 7 or 8 people changed slightly. Not good, the demonic beast in the sky is going to attack. At this moment, the expression of a young man in the middle of them changed, and he hurriedly shouted. Not good, that demonic beast in the sky is going to attack. Quickly hide, quickly hide. Sounds of panic could be heard from the surroundings. In the sky, that terrifying demonic beast with a wingspan of 30 meters directly swooped down from the sky. Its eyes were filled with rage and bloodlust as it stared down, and its bone wings lightly trembled. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Black bone spears attacked from the sky. The bone spears were densely packed. There were more than 100,000 of them, covering an area of 40 to 50 kilometers. Run. An even more terrified voice came from the surroundings. In an instant, the entire city center of River City was in chaos. The sudden appearance of such a terrifying demonic beast caused many people to be filled with fear. Especially when the bone spears attacked, some people even collapsed on the ground. Clang! Right at this moment, A metallic sound flashed through everyone's minds. Soon after, they sensed that rays of golden light had appeared around them. In the middle of the golden light, there was an incomparably resplendent metallic sword. That is, the instant the golden light and the metallic sword appeared, the expressions of the 7 or 8 men and women from the Lingxiao treasured palace on the opposite street changed. They looked over in shock. Ping ping ping. Chirp 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 chirp. In the sky, all the bone spears were scattered by the golden light, and the bright sharp sword directly pierced into the ferocious demon beast's head. The demon beast let out a terrified cry, and its body fell toward the ground. A golden light flashed again, and the demon beast's body disappeared. The one who attacked was naturally Ao Jian, a dark demonic bird with a demigod level 5. Have there been incidents of demonic beasts entering the city to attack before? Wang Xian looked at the lady beside him and asked curiously. No, nothing like this has ever happened before. All the demonic beasts will stay in the ancient land and will never come out. Yanu shook her head. Her face was also filled with astonishment. What's going on? Am I hallucinating? Where's that demonic beast? I felt a golden flash in front of my eyes just now. What happened? Did an expert kill that demonic beast? Why is that demonic bird missing now? Astonished voices came from the surroundings. The one who attacked just now was that middle-aged swordsman. On the opposite side, the 8 young men and women stared at Ao Jian and Wang Xian in astonishment. That golden glow and that golden sharp sword. The few of them looked at each other and felt that it was somewhat familiar. Wang Xian sensed the gazes from this side and swept a glance at the 8 of them. Then he looked in the direction where the demonic bird was flying over. Vaguely, he sensed some slight movements in the direction where the demonic bird was flying over. Huarkire, come, Daddy will bring you to the sky. Wang Xian was carrying a little fellow in one hand. With a move of his body, he flew into the sky instantly. Ao Qitian and the rest immediately followed behind. Which group of people? On the street, 8 young men and women revealed puzzled expressions. A sharp sword easily killed a demonic bird of demigod level 5. Sharp sword. Who posted the picture in the group just now? Feiyu, ask them immediately and see if they have more pictures. The young man in the middle immediately said to a young man. Brother Mingjun, you mean that sharp sword? Heavenly Wind City is not far from Jianghu City, and how many people on earth can kill a rank 5 demigod demonic beast with one sword? No way. Brother Mingjun, should we report this to the commanders? The other party has already left. Furthermore, we can't be sure yet. It's useless to report it. The group of 8 conversed in a low voice. After hesitating for a moment, they walked towards the landmark building at the center of Jianghu City. At the same time, at a height of 70 to 80,000 meters, Wang Xian was hugging Hua and Kai. His eyes were flashing with a mystical light. The dragon eyes of the 5 elements of yin and yang were looking ahead. Over there was the direction of the ocean. Wang Xian's seaside villa used to be located there. Wow, daddy, we're flying. We're flying. Hua-er's excited voice came from the side. At this moment, Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly. I'm afraid that Earth is going to undergo a mutation, he said faintly. Change? What kind of change? Yao Nu, who was at the side, could not help but ask. The land is gathering. In the future, the land may be the land and the ocean will be the ocean. Wang Xian mumbled, moreover, there might be other things happening. This time Wang Xian really witnessed the change on Earth. The current Earth was being carried by a group of gods with a powerful ability and flew towards the depths of the endless starry sky. And now, the bottom of the Earth began to move. Wang Xian could sense that the Earth was extraordinary. With the appearance of the demonic beasts, I'm afraid that the change this time is not a good thing for some people. He continued to speak and frowned slightly. The land is gathering. This. Yao Nu, who was at the side, widened her eyes slightly. Her eyes were filled with shock. Let's go. Wang Xian's face also revealed a look of deep thought. With a move of his body, everyone instantly appeared in Mo Qinglong's villa. At this moment, the group of draconids, Mo Jiao and his family were gathered in the villa. Greetings, Dragon King. Upon seeing Wang Xian's appearance, the group of draconids hurriedly greeted him. Mo Jiao's wife, son, father-in-law and mother-in-law also greeted him hurriedly. Qinglong, Let's find a place tomorrow and call the Lan family over for a gathering. Wang Xian nodded at them and gave an order to the demonic azure dragon. He had initially planned to gather in 2 days. However, he realized that the earth had undergone a change and demonic beasts had appeared. It was time to gather with them in advance. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.